Yes, any visit to the Nürburgring launch site, if you stand at any of the high points around the circuit, you can see so many different elements of weather, and you can see them coming in and maybe just avoiding the circuit. Can you do the castle over the village? It changes so quickly. If you just focus on the tarmac, you don't notice as much, but if you get in a high point, you can see that weather can come in, and certainly in the regular NLS races through the remainder of 2020, I'm sure we'll see weather come into play many a time, but so many times you have a near scrape, you think, oh, that shower's about to hit, that's going to be spectacular for the last few laps of the race, and then it swerves past. But yes, it keeps all the teams and drivers on their toes, and I think it's brilliantly represented in the footage we're looking at now.
DNLS races powered by VCO. 2nd of May is round 4, round 5, 30th. 30th of May, round 5, 13th of June, round 6, 15th of August, round 7, 17th of October, round 8, and we finish off on the 14th of November, round 9. And you can join us for all of those. Radio Show Limited's Listeners Collective doing brisk business on Facebook, and you can get in touch with us and join the conversation at RSL_studio. That's always our broadcast, whether we're in the real world or the virtual. Our hashtag for this one, just so I can pick it up if I'm looking elsewhere, is hashtag DN24RSL. D for digital, N24RSL. So we're treating this exactly as we would do the real world, because as we've said before, there's everything real about this competition, and this battle for second place, well, could barely be any closer. Maybe a car's length between these two as they battle. And this is Alexander, for third position for Patrick Christoph Moser and Niels Koch, the Red Line and BS competition teams that are blocking out the top 3. And in fact, they are running very well indeed. Still the best of the Mercedes, and 11th is the MB Esports car of Martin Christensen. As these two crest another rise, point the car to the sky. 17 of 25 kilometres completed over the little bump, then down to 3rd, maybe 4th if you're very brave and you've got the tyres underneath you as you're starting to head back towards the breathing point of the long Dottinger through Flansgarden now. Look how late they're braking as they turn in to that left-hander before Schwalbenschwanz and then the Kleine Carousel. Niels Koch, engine from the BMW, sitting ahead of him, of course, in the Z4. Competition special, the Z4 was allowed to have the engine that wasn't fitted to the road car. Why didn't they fit the V8 to the road car? But it was done for the racing, and it was allowed. They were given a competition. So the Ferrari has been the pick of the bunch down the Dottinger.
Absolutely frustrating for Niels Koch. He's in the quicker of the cars, but down the straight, yes, he pulls it on when he finally catches the slipstream, but every time coming out of Galgenkopf, the Ferrari just puts the foot down. Now it dives into the pits, but the BMW does not. The car from 3rd place dives into the pits. In fact, the race leader in the pits as well. Jonas Valmeyer in, and I think, yeah, the second of the Ferraris comes in as well. So BS competition looks so it's continued. Yes, it has, leading the race. Alexander Voss.
First,
that is lap. Let's nice it down. Number 20.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd. So that's interesting. So that is very interesting to me that the Red Line Ferraris have gone a different way here with Jonas Waldmeier and Patrick Christoph Moser as well. They've both done a 7-lap stint. What I didn't pick up before right now, and I'm looking at my screen, was that Patrick Schneider's second stint was also only a 6-lap stint.
Correct.
So Maxi and Patrick, who were the first 2 drivers in those Ferraris, did a 7 and a 6. So now we've seen a 7, and that's interesting. It does mean of course, and I wonder, I'm going to throw something out here.
Are they thirsty?
Well, no, I wonder if they're doing a 7 and a 6, they're putting tyres on each time, aren't they? So I just wonder, they'll be putting slightly less fuel in when they start the 6 laps, when they start the new driver's first 7 lap stint. So the car will be a little stationary, a little less long, because they won't have used a full 7 laps of fuel, so there'll be more left in the tank. That means that the driver who gets in on his first time in the car will just have a little advantage in terms of track position to the people his teammate was racing when he came in. And again, it'll give him that 1 lap to heat up the tyres before his competition comes out of the pit. And in fact, it'll be 2 laps, of course, if they continue to do that, and then it'll be 3 laps. Have they already started back timing for the next 21.5 hours?
Back combing? I don't know.
I'm throwing it out there. I don't know.
Yeah, put it out there. But one thing we haven't really talked about much in all this, we talked about the TCRs, the Porsche 911 Cup class, is the Cayman, the 718 Cayman class, and Corp Sim Racing have combined 2 of their regulars, put them in 1 car this weekend rather than 2. And kicking off the start of the race, Carl Janssen held the lead. His teammate Sindri Setsas, who's always at the front end, has taken over from him. But they've just crested a minute to the good over the best of their rivals, which is Saul Grensport and Sasha Berger. But again, 2 drivers on top of their game in the regular digital NLS, combining for core sim racing and putting on an absolute masterclass. Of course, that's double the advantage that we had until the most recent pit stops for what had been the leading Ferrari, the black Ferrari for Team Redline. That was 28-29 seconds to do. So a minute up in the Cayman class. It's really very impressive for core sim racing.
Yeah. I'm still working this one out. I'll get back to you in about 21 hours and 20 minutes to see who got it right. Because I tell you what, we won't know until then. If we've
no, not a hope.
Bruce and I would like to think we've learned a few things down through the years, being out and watching and talking about motor racing. But quite frankly, I think there'll be plenty of people who'll say that we haven't learned very much at all, and certainly not as much as we think we have. But one thing that we know to be an absolute truth is it's not over till it's over here in particular, and you can say that of any motor race. 24-hour motor races, they can twist and turn so much. Early hours of the morning, coming to the end of the darkness, always seems that people find a little bit of overconfidence sometimes that can put them into the barriers. The same at Le Mans, isn't it, Bruce? Breakfast time, we often see a flurry of drama and activity.
Yeah, I mean, it also seems so cruel on the crews at that point, but time and again it happens, and it's a bit like when people go out in the warm-up and crash. It's almost as though they feel they've got a tradition to uphold when there isn't an incident, but they've just created one out of nothing.
Don't forget, RSL_studio sounds like a bit of an off in the Jones household. I'll let him get that
up again.
Are you all right? Yeah, I'll leave that faded down a bit in case anything needs to be moved.
No, it's fine.
You're all right? Good,
yeah,
excellent. 78, Positive Sim Racing. Glenn Key is looking at the back of Andrej Rajkovic in the team Heusingfeld 301 Porsche Cayman. They're battling for a top half dozen position in these little Porsche Caymans. Not everybody's cup of tea, in fairness. They do tend to be a little bit understeery. You can certainly set them up that way. Glenn just drifting right out onto the block paving there is Andre Trester. Little tighter line coming off the Flansgarden. Now down to the Kleiner Carousel. Sun beginning to drop at, what is it now, 18:40. 20 minutes to 7 Central European time. The shadows lengthening. And it'll be not too long before we start to see those headlights making a bigger mark. It will get dark, we will have darkness running, and one thing you'll notice about sim racing, and I've noticed watching some of the night practice, yes, I have been watching the night practice, courtesy of our friends at Racesport. No extra lap bars in sim racing, which would take me out straight away, because once you've raced with Ellie, oh, somebody's got off in the background there. Was there a little touch on it? Somebody just hit the grass there in that battle that we were watching a moment or two ago. I think they got away with just getting onto the grass. We've seen that before. That was it's a cup car.
Back 5th place in the class, so it's very close indeed.
It's a cup car, I think, that's making all the smoke, Bruce. So whether there's been damage on that car and there's something, bodywork catching or something like that, but certainly saw some smoke from that. May just have been a lock-up as well, of course. Once you've driven with LED additional lights on a racing car, you can't go back, no matter how good the standard lights are. I've raced a MG at Anglesey in the Race of Remembrance there a few years ago, and it had a single LED strip on the front, and being the MG version of the front-wheel drive, the V6 engines, effectively Rover as well. Twin headlights, I thought, yeah, one of those will be main beam. We'll make sure we've got some good bulbs and that'll be great. Yeah, that looks great. Oh, I've forgotten to put the light bar on. Where's the switch for that again? Oh yes, there it is. Oh my goodness, it's daylight. And then when we raced at Coulter for Aston Martin in the GT4, that was right down in the grille, underneath the intake for the air intake for the oil cooler, and that was sensational because it was protected, well out of the way, and it was a very bright white low-level light that didn't cast too many shadows, so fabulous. It meant you could push some of the other additional lights out at an angle of maybe 45-50 degrees, and they effectively became what I would have had on my rally car as corner lights back in the day, Bruce, so that you could pick up the apex that was coming up, and it makes a huge difference. You won't see that in the darkness tonight. You'll only see standard headlamp configurations. You've seen some of the Ferraris have got additional lamps in the front that stay on, and they might be at a slight advantage. I was watching on board a TCR car and thinking, are you not going to put your main beam on? Because frankly, I was thinking, my goodness, you're driving very well for not being able to see. And there's no headlamp, there's no lighting around the Nordschleife. All right, as expected, the Bruce, right on terms at lap 20, end of lap 21, the two BMWs are in. So they'll give up the lead. Also coming in MSI, the blue of 75, Biela Racing,
Marla Audi, the Biela Ferrari, all coming in. Will there be driver changes? Just remember, the advantage before the pit stops, that 71 Ferrari was about 28, 29 seconds. Good, let's call it half a minute just for fun.
Here comes the red line car now, through Tegart, already on the front straight, and they haven't even got the fueling finished. So Valmeyer goes through. Remember, he stopped 1 lap ago. That's extraordinary. He stopped at the end of lap 20, didn't he?
Yeah, but look, it was another short pit stop because the 89 Alexander Voss car, no driver change, and I would suggest 106, yeah, no tyre changes either. And he is doing a second stint in these tires, but he's what? Less than a second down, so that was but they've rolled the dice again. They wanted to get out in front, they missed it.
The last time that they did that and didn't change tyres, they got out in front by about 25 seconds. They've made up that 25 seconds that they were in arrears, but they're on all tyres. And what you expect now is to see that Ferrari with Jonas Valmeyer, who is, a very, very impressive driver indeed. He should drive away now, and he's going to put, if they put 25 seconds into them when they were on brand new tyres, how much are they going to put into them when they're on stint old tyres?
It seemed like a desperate tactic. But why would you make a desperate tactic at this point in the race? It's a long, long way to go. Play it safe, play it plain, but maybe they know something we don't. We talked earlier, John, about how the sun is starting to go down, the track temperature is going to begin to drop. Maybe they feel it won't take so much out of their tyres on this second stint on the BS competition. BMW, in the second one of those with Niels Koch staying on board, has also done the same tactic. It's come out after a pit stop of just 1 minute 5, 1 minute 6 seconds, so they've gone the same way. They must think it works.
Well, it's too early. I mean, it doesn't look right now, if I'm brutally honest, but Let's see how it goes on. Do they think that keeping the same tyres on keeps a bit of heat in the tyres and therefore they don't have to worry? They didn't get the track position, certainly on that. Coming up on 3 hours, having elapsed, we welcome back Nick Damon. Hello, Nick.
Hello, John. Hello, Bruce. Hello, everyone.
How have you been enjoying this so far, then?
I've had a great time. I've been watching 2 races. I've also been lower down the splits watching Joe Bradley, my RSL teammate in the pits at Le Mans. His team's racing well. They have 2 real-world race drivers with them, J.M. Lippman, friend of the show, and Adam Christodoulou. Well, Adam's apparently doing another sim race at the moment. And they were, I last saw them in the top 5 in their split. It is quite a long way down. It's interesting. They got Z4, but interestingly, when you get down to the lower splits, it's virtually entirely GT3. So you kind of run out of the other classes before you can't keep them even all the way around. Because obviously a lot more people want to run GT3 around here. Mad fools. It's only more sensible cars.
And just in case you're new to this and you wonder what we're talking about, is we've got some lappery going on. And once again, it's the Sim RC Audi who has the Patrick Christoph Moser team. Red line car, no, that's not that, that's the Beeler car, excuse me. That's the Beeler car. The Team Euronics car going through there. If you wonder what we're talking about with splits, there were over 1,200 teams entered for this in 23 what's called splits. So think of that as 23 separate races going on with a maximum of 55 cars each in those splits. And they are graded, Nick, by the average iRacing performance of the drivers within the team. Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty much done on the iRating, and the iRating is something you get by being quick. It's the better you do in races, the higher iRating. There's also a safety rating, and there is a minimum safety rating to take part in this race. It's not a free-for-all as some others we've seen, mostly IMSA races where anyone can enter. You have to be at least a D licence, but a strong D licence or a C and above. So they have cut out the very, the people who really are learned rookies, or people who've been doing it for a while and are terrible. So you get an iRating, and they have split them down, and it's kind of on the average. I think there are a couple of clever bits it does as well, based on numbers of races and wins as well. So an iRating with 100 races better than 50, but it is pretty much that way. And they took the average, and you get put. So basically, you always have a great race, because Joe's team, which is also my team last week, would not be doing particularly well against Team Red Line Black, obviously, but against teams who are amateurs like ourselves. That's true. Just to give you an idea, the boys in our team are lapping around the 8:26 to 8:30 mark in GT3.
So that's the same sort of times as a midfield Porsche 911 Cup car is here. Nick, stay with us. Nick Damon is with us. Bruce, thank you very much for the moment. Bruce is going to be back with us tomorrow. Have a great evening, Bruce.
I shall. I don't expect them to be in the same order. Long ways, so many incidents to come. Been great fun. Looking forward to it tomorrow.
Thanks, Bruce. Best to everybody in the household. Cheers, mate. So Bruce Jones leaves us. Nick Damon will be with us. It's pit stop time again. Then we'll give you a rundown with just over 3 hours gone, live in sound and vision. It's good to have your company. It's the Radio Show Limited network of channels with Racesport and the N24 powered by VCO. So, Nick Damon has rejoined us. Actually, I'm going to do a bit of jiggery pokery, Nick, and I'm going to move you from one side of the comedy box to another, if you don't mind. So bear with me for a second as our coverage continues into the evening here, and what a lovely evening it has been, and what a first couple of hours of the race this has been. First 3 hours of the race it has been, and I'm not sure how much you were able to see of particularly Nick, that battle earlier on in the TCR class when we had 7 cars battling for the lead, but it was absolutely outstanding. Did you see that earlier on?
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the first 45 minutes, and I switched my attention to my inverted commas teammates for a bit.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Are you surprised that we are seeing some of these TCR guys do double stints from the start of the race? That's going to be getting on for 4 hours. They'll have done certainly well over 3.
No, I mean, I think certainly in the light, it's probably not an issue. But they are... The cars themselves, I think if I race, I've been watching them on the track and they look very, very stable. I've actually got on board with a couple, and again, they seem quite easy to drive. Once you front-wheel drive, it means you have a different way of getting in and out of the corners. And I would think that a good driver, usually one of the best drivers in the TCR, are able to do 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, and they have the fitness. And it is a fitness sport. But I mean, you're just sitting down. I did 2 hours 20 minutes at Silverstone last weekend in an iRace in one of the Porsche Caymans, and I was absolutely sweating like a pig at the end of it. The concentration, the heat, as you just drive around. You're not breathing hard as you would be in a real car, but the concentration levels are unbelievable once you put in a long stint. And it's far worse when you're in a team, because you pump yourself off in a solo race, you really let yourself down. The last thing you do is let your friends down.
Exactly right. Andrew Potwell says that anywhere to include plans to have mechanical issues into sim racing. Love the racing, but seldom a car goes full 24 hours without a minor issue. Do you know what? I'm not sure that's true anymore now, as we're just watching the MSI Esports blue car go through, and was that them putting a lap on the Marla racing car? That is the car that's dropped down, hasn't it? Oh no, that was the Williams E. Sorry, no, it's blue on the back. I thought that was green. That was the Williams E Sports car. That was Josh Thompson. Sorry, that's what I get for looking away for a moment. So that was a pass for position. So Mark Perez in the MSI team, offshoot of the real world former Euro Formula team. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yes, is there any plans to include mechanical issues, says the Andrew Potwell. GT3, GT4, I mean, when we look at something like preventing, or indeed even the 24 hours here at the Nürburgring, accident damage will take somebody out. Suspension damage, if you cloud the curbs too hard, will take someone out. But the finish percentage nowadays in real world racing is extraordinary, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as we were talking about that long distance races, it used to be getting to the finish was the whole point. It was slow. I mean, you drove your car at the speed in which you thought that you wouldn't particularly quite a good chance of getting the end, which certainly wasn't 100%. Certainly for the last 15 years, endurance races have been go as fast as you can because the car can handle it if you don't throw it off. Now, the other member is that they do actually model engine problems in iRacing. You can buzz engines if you take too many downshifts, and it will. And there is a chance you can actually blow an engine damage and go down on power. All things can happen. They can get fixed at pit stops. But
I'm told about 45 minutes to an hour to fix an engine, depending on how far it is.
It does, I mean, I'll give you an example. It won't happen on the Caymans, because the Caymans you cannot downshift. They mimic the real car, and if you want to downshift when it's not possible, you can't do it. Some of the other cars, which have less driver age, yes, you absolutely can. You can buzz the engine, and iRacing will take a notice of that, and sometimes you'll get that random figure to say that you bent a virtual valve, and you will go down on power, and then you have to make up your mind whether you need to come in the pits. And it is possible to grenade an engine. I've seen a couple of pictures of cars that have grenade engines. Very amusingly, throwing genuine virtual pistons out the side. Obviously, if you're driving a Honda, that's called an alternator failure.
Yeah, absolutely right. I know I've told you this before, but the people who haven't heard this, way back in my driving days, my first couple of cars were Hillman Avengers, and my 1600 Hillman Avenger had the same kind of alternator problem as Nick's talking about in F1, because it was never an engine problem for Honda in F1. There was always some ancillary, and so the joke became it was an alternator problem. Well, I did have an alternator problem in my Hillman Avenger when I was trying to crest the rise of the Houghton Cut on the A690 outside of Sunderland in my formative years. The alternator problem was that the alternator was how can I put it, became disconnected because the bracket was taken out by the bottom end bearing as it made its bid for freedom through the side of the engine block. That's the kind of alternator problem that Nick was talking about. More on that in a moment. Let's get back to the racing, because there's still plenty of racing going on in the beautiful golden light of what is nearly 7 o'clock in the evening in Central Europe, and the battles continue in the Porsche class. The tortured flat sixes making wondrous noises as they head through the serpentine end of the Flats Garden and head down. It's one of Nick's walking points on the track. I was trying to talk him around the track earlier on today. This Porsche Cup class, I was saying just how, in some ways, how difficult the Porsche Cup class are to drive. No real driver aids in the real cars. There's no ABS or traction control, although you can dial that in with a competition upgrade if you're doing endurance racing, and a lot of people do. These are quirky cars to drive. You still have the engine hanging out behind the back wheels and the gearbox, of course, as well.
This is a leader class, John.
Yes, it is. And as they come through, it's Sasha Berger and Sindre Setsas side by side. My goodness, that's very, very tight indeed. No, it's not, sorry, because that's the Porsche 18 class. It's Johan Hart and Daniel Lafuente side by side, and Lafuente has already shown his class in being able to pull off manoeuvres in tight areas when he went through from third to second, and he's done exactly the same again here. That was very impressive driving down towards turn 1. How noticeable, Nick, is it for you, as the 211 Daniel Fuente confirmed in the lead, how close dare you get to a car when you're making a... I mean, that's flat out down there up towards the Teergarten. How close dare you get to another competitor, or does that just come with time and experience?
Obviously, these are two highly skilled drivers, and that obviously, and I'd say nothing. I'm absolutely certain that the 911 car, driven by Jenny Chio, will have actually eased off of that to make sure it gets through. The thing you have to remember is, and this is, I think, something gets forgotten with the amazing high quality of the graphics and the photorealistic, that these people are sat in different places and they're not actually seeing this in quite real time.
Yes, I know.
The thing called ping, which is basically a delay, means they are actually seeing this, and a great reverse pass there. Oh, he's got out wide. That's an instant point straight away, and holds the position by doing it, the 211 car of Daniel Fuente. So they will actually effectively be looking at things that happened 0.1, 0.2 of a second ago, which you think how far that is in at 140 miles an hour. Now, there is a element where the PC will guess where the car should be, but the car's not there. You can end up with an accident you shouldn't expect. But it's that level of skill to actually take into account that delay, which is the same in virtually all remote e-sporting, that people who can work the delay are the people who win the matches and the races. And that's the key point. When you see them sliding in like that, it's really, really clever indeed. I guess that Mark will always help.
That was a 28 car. That car's been struggling around for a little while.
It's remarkable. I mean, and in fairness, to actually answer your question, how close do you dare go, depends entirely on two things. One, your level of skill, and two, how much you trust the other guy. And in some races, you don't trust them at all, so you try and keep as far away as possible and just let them go. At this level, they all know each other, they all rate with each other, they know that neither of them wants to have an accident.
Chris Conklin has just tweeted in at RSL Studio, RSL_Studio, DN24 RSL, just to confirm the Porsche 911 Cup car is generally accepted as the hardest car to drive in iRacing. These lunatics are probably threading the needle at speed. Well, that's exactly the same as the real world. Any Porsche Works driver will tell you, I'll take the GT3 car, the 911R, the 911RS, sorry, the 911, yes, the 911R, the 911RS, or the 911 RSR above a Cup car, because they are really edgy all the time. And if you can drive one of these, then you jump into, for example, and I've heard a couple of people say this, you jump into the RSR, which is the Le Mans car, the GT Le Mans car, even though it's a much quicker car and it's got a lot more aero, so you're dealing with faster cornering speeds. So if you can drive a Cup car, if you're happy in a Cup car, you'll be dead happy in the RSR.
Yeah, the GT3 car, the RSR, which we've seen in the IMSA events, that is actually known to be one of the, if you actually get it sorted, one of the best cars out there. If it's not sorted, it's still quite tricky, but once they have the handling off pack, they are very good cars, 911s, yeah.
That is every 911 ever built. And the key for Porsche down through the years is to open that setup window up as wide as they can without compromising the performance levels of the cars, because you know, even particularly in long distance racing, you can't have a super edgy car all the time. Think what Lawrence Vanthoor and Earl Bamber do in IMSA. Lawrence qualifies and starts every race, so when he's in the car, all he's doing is working on the setup for 1, 2 or 3 fast laps of qualifying. When Earl gets in the car, he's trying to get a car that will double stint its tyres and do 2 stints for him in the shorter race. Now obviously in the longer races Lawrence gets back in again, but he's working on the longer distance of that car, and the setups are significantly different and the drivers like them significantly different as well. It's really interesting. And the whole point of a 911 always, and even with the new RSR, remember the RSR, they swapped the gearbox and the engine, so the gearbox now is further back and the engine is further into the middle of the car, so that the engine's pulled forward a bit. It doesn't affect the weight distribution as much, but it means that you can have a really nice big diffuser underneath the back where you used to have flat 6 engine and cylinder heads, which means you get better aero without very much drag from the back of the car. This is magnificent stuff, by the way. Smart move by LaFuente there as he came up on the TCR car, and exactly what Nick Damon was saying a couple of moments ago as they're climbing the hill from Bergwerk up towards the right-hander at the bottom of the run to the carousel. Wasn't sure that the TCR car had seen him, thought, I could stick my nose in there, but I might end up in the barriers. Backed up. All right, what's he lost? A couple of tenths, maybe half a second. He's got a quicker car at the moment than the car ahead that's leading the class, and he'll make that back up again. He could have thrown away the whole race by sticking it down the inside of that TCR there, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, endurance in miniature. There was no point being a one-corner hero if you then find yourself lambasted against a wall because someone hasn't seen you properly, or in many ways perhaps overreacts and jumps into you rather than jumps out of the way. So you have to time the overtake, because one of the advantages of this particular version of the iRacing, we've only got 55 cars going around rather than the 155 in reality. So the level of lapping is lower as again we saw they thread the needle, the two of them there, to get either side of the red TCR car, Audi LMS, which is very, I like it. This is the first time I've seen the model. It's a really, really nice model on that TCR.
Have you not got that yet?
No, I've been buying cars specifically for what they need to do, and events. So I've got the Cayman GT4, or as it's also known as the car that Joe, can't quote the word he used, hates. But it's
quite a lot though.
Yeah, I mean that would be an interesting car around here, because it is, you can get it pretty safe, but unfortunately the GT4 Cayman is as safe as slow. We did this 12-hour race. Yeah, we did this 12-hour race at Silverstone last weekend, and we were safe and slow. And we couldn't work out how the boys at the fast guys in my team couldn't work out how the other drivers were going so quick, but they were obviously far too late on the Monday. They managed to get hold of one of the setups they were using. Yeah, 1.5 seconds faster, but my God, did it want to swap ends every potential moment, you know? And is that any good for people who aren't at the top level of iRacing yet? No, you've got, because it really is, and I think you were talking about Bruce a bit earlier. The thing to remember about the sim racing, the key thing is you have a far more limited number of sensors with which to control the car, because you don't have your internal gyroscope. And the internal gyroscope is the thing that tells you the car is about to oversteer, and you can get that correction on in a super fast, and it doesn't become an issue. In sim racing, the indication you have is only with your eyes and a little bit through the force feedback steering wheel. You can feel it slightly. So that is why I genuinely think that obviously you're not having the physical stress you are, but you're having so much more mental stress in holding these cars, especially as cup cars. You know, what should we say? Edgy?
Yes. Yeah, these two look pretty well set up. In fairness, Porsches tend to be pitch rear-engine Porsches tend to be pitch sensitive. So if you ever look at a Porsche in racing, and anywhere on the circuit, and particularly if it's on a slightly bumpy track and in a straight line, if the front end is popping up and down, porpoising as they call it, that car, they're in trouble with that car. Look at these cars; they are in great shape. They are absolutely tracking true. I do think it's interesting the difference in how they're tackling the back markers, because Daniel Lafuente, I mean, he's already back on the tail end of the leader in the number 911, Gianni Vecchio, and that car, that orange car, has been taking all kinds of liberties through the traffic. I suppose as a leader, you probably feel you have to. If you're chasing, and I would get, sorry, it's Johan Harth, isn't it, who's leading. Vecchio is the next car back at about another couple of seconds further back. If you're Johan Harth, you probably feel you've got to take those chances. I would suggest that Lafuente believes that he can, if he has to breathe out the throttle as he did heading up the hill last time around, that he can make that back. I'll be very interested to see what he's like through Hatzenbach this time around, and what sort of lines he's taking compared to the car that's in the lead as they go out onto the first part of the Nordschleife.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing. What are you trying to achieve at this point of the race? 3 hours, 18 minutes into a 24-hour race with so much more to go. Are you actually looking to lay down a mark, or just keep yourself in that contention? Potentially it's a chance to get past, make a 5-second gap. It's so early in the race still, and these guys are, what's their lead over the third place man? They are 11.5 seconds, 11.1 seconds ahead. So they've made a break, and they are now the leading pair in this class. What they need to do, they need to push it. Not really. Let's just go round together. If I get a chance, obviously Daniel's going to go take it. But now I need to take no risks. We're still building a lead over the rest of the field. What we're doing is eliminating the competition one by one.
One thing that Right Turn Lover, who is one of our regulars in our real world coverage, RTL, good to know that you're tuned in here to the D24. Digital N24 powered by VCO. He says, keep in mind, in this race there is no safety car, which there wouldn't be in the real world either, or very seldom there will be. Here there's no danger of a red flag, so every second lost or gained is a net second lost or gained, irrespective of when in the race it happened, which is actually a very fair point. And in some ways, and I know you haven't been a part of our team at the Nürburgring before, but I know that you've also listened and watched our coverage. That actually is not dissimilar to the real world. What you have is slow zones rather than safety cars, code 60s, code 120s. But everybody, particularly in the top class, I would say particularly at the sharp end of the top class in SP9, they drive flat out all the time here, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, beyond fog, you're not going to have the race is effectively safety car. As you say, there's an instant, they'll slow zone it, and then you just have to hope it doesn't get removed at the wrong time for where your competitor is and you're not. But it's when you've got a large circuit that is effectively running green the whole time and is going to run green the whole time, it is absolutely about effectively looking at everything you can make during the entire period of the race. It's not like, it's an American race or an American Oval race where it doesn't really matter as long as only lead lap until the last half hour. You've got to start eking things out early, and can you put on 2 or 3 minutes? You're not going to get you're very unlikely in the Nürburgring to get the luxury of a lap, but you can get those 2 or 3 minutes lead, and there's no reason they'll ever disappear again.
Still the closest battle on the track that we're focusing in on, and that is in the 911 Porsche Cup clash, and down towards all these different camera positions. I was about to say, don't know what to put you at now, but I'm now not sure. Yes, absolutely right. Don't second guess yourself, Heiko. Go with the first guess. Go first in that little cafe at the bottom of there, ever over there in that neck of the woods. These two then starting to build up to that long climb, which is about a quarter of the track once you've gone through this right-hander at Nürburgring. Now heading up the hill. Look how much of this is in shadow now, Nick, and that's going to affect the temperatures. They pop out into a bit of sunshine for a while. You keep your eyes on this, because I think Lafuente's got a good run on the leader again, and we've seen he's quite decisive. He likes the fast. They've just got slightly trimmed out that car, because it does like the fast runs, doesn't it, that 211?
If it's got any sense, he'll just wait for the big long straight at the end of the lap, because he's certainly, as you say, got that, looks to have that extra straight line speed. Obviously, he's gaining a little bit from it. It is always easy to follow and lead, and he can just stay on the tail of the MGO car, and you should be able to breeze past on the straight. Interesting, I was doing some, obviously.
No, you did the same as me there. It's you on half. It's the, no, it's not. Sorry. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so but there's been a lot of testing going on iRacing, and people have been testing specific 2-hour sections of the race. So there's been a test up just for this going into darkness. So it sets the time, I think, from 7 to 9 or 6 to 8:30, and they've gone out and they've just practiced going into darkness. And the track's very pretty with the sunshine on it, but it does affect the temperature. The temperature has a massive effect on the tyre model. So the cars will behave very differently if you're in a light bit of track, a dark bit of track, or if the clouds come over. It does gain quite a lot. And certainly at the start of the run when the tyres are cold, that's what you really have to look out for. So the two Porsches tied together and come down as never-ending hills.
Have you sorted out where you are on the track yet? Because I mean, that is the thing about this circuit. If you've not, it doesn't matter how good you are at iRacing. If you've not raced at this track, doesn't matter how good a racing driver you are. You haven't raced at this track and done, what is it, the same 40 or 50 laps?
50 laps.
Do you have an idea?
I'm fine down to the point of the second entry to the tourist forum. Absolutely fine to that point, and then it gets more and more vague. The bunch of the carousel is very vague indeed. I've been watching you technically when you've been talking. I'm trying to find that's that one. Yeah, that's that one. I'm trying to patch up on it.
There's too many bits. I said earlier on in commentary, when you learn this, you tend to break it up into bits, and you learn that bit. But of course, you have to do a lap every time to learn that bit again. The advantage of being on a sim is, if you start at the start line and you keep falling off just after the Caracciola carousel, you've learned the first bit pretty well, because you've done that bit. You can't just drop yourself back onto it. So learning the bit of the carousel, bit of a slide there by the Porsche Cup leader, and that's going to cost him, because that was coming through the Gallows Hill bend, and he's lost some momentum. He might pick up a bit of a torque from the TCR car, and he used that for a moment, but they're going to be side by side. Needs to get back in behind, and does. Fuente goes back in behind, and now sweeps out again. Certainly got the speed, but he's coming round the wrong side of the little kink, the left-handed kink to Bilstein. But that will give him the right-hander in the middle of the first part of Tiergarten. He's got to hold it there. He's got to be brave and hold it there. How? No, he's braked. He had to stick it up the outside there, and he could have got through. But again, I think that shows patience, Nick, and a little bit of sensible driving from Lafuente, because a lot of people there would have toughed that out and then done a block pass into that middle part of the first right-hander at Tiergarten. He might have a look around the outside here.
He's not given up yet, has he? He's
done this before. Watch him come around the outside.
Yeah, it's that same concept they offer you to turn 100, isn't it? Try and go wide and get their run, but of course it's this sharp left, which isn't normally there for most of the designs of the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and he's going to get just a bit enough drive there. So
did he? These guys a side wall there, or was he just running over the curb?
I think it was curb. Don't think it was wall. I think it was curb. I mean, it is, again, it's possible that the pictures you see are not pixel perfect of where he actually was, because they're being assessed by the one machine rate. But yeah, it's an excellent effect they got on there, isn't it? With the exhaust look. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, look, we've just got 10 more miles now. Flash the lights in. That's fine. That's the universal way drivers go 10 miles an hour fast, wasn't it?
You were saying earlier on about the flash being different on the different cars. But Ferrari, it leaves its driving lights on and the fog lights on and just flashes the main headlight. Whereas the Audi, not the Audi, the Porsches, I think turn the lights off
I'm pretty sure on the Cup car the lights actually flash off. Yeah,
yes.
It's the way it's modelled. And there was interestingly, I've been reading all the forums and iRacing about this, and somebody actually asked if they could actually do a very quick fix to sort that out prior to the race. I don't think it's happened. But there was an update on Thursday, so it may have done. Just has changed that situation. So obviously, so rather than going from full beam to nothing, you go from full beam to dip beam, effectively.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you are effectively straight with the light in front of you to warn the person you're there, but you don't see for half of it. And as we'll see, I think we will get a little bit towards the end of our broadcast this evening. It should be pitch dark, shouldn't it, John? So we will actually get to see some of that.
Yeah, but then we're leaving it to the experts after that. The race bot guys are going to come up when it's dark. Yes. And I am so grateful for that. I do love racing in the dark around the Nordschleife, and we don't get to see as much of it as we are now. And a couple of people actually who follow our real world coverage are saying I'm far more involved in this because we're seeing more racing from more parts of the circuit, and we do have cameras where cameras can't exist, of course, whether they are side of the track or whether they're that fabulous drone cam that follows the cars that clearly couldn't exist in real life. Through Flugplatz now climbing the hill up towards Schwedenkreuz, and that immensely quick left-hander still in sunshine up there at the moment. And we've been watching these two because there's not much else going on in terms of what's happening. Keep an eye on this, because I don't want to cut away from this, because it is the law of sod that the moment we do that, something will happen. But while that's happening, let me run down for Nick and for everybody else what's going on in the rest of the field. So battle for first and second in the Porsche 911 Cup class as the leader is held up just for a moment by one of the TCR Audis just as they're coming into Adnar Forst. For a moment there, that looked like a BMW 2 Series, just with those colours on it, but I knew that couldn't be. And that's allowed second place man Daniel Lafuente to close up again. So we'll keep an eye on that. At the front of the field, Team Redline, the Ferrari, Jonas Wallmeyer, managed to stay ahead at the end of the last pit stops when he came round. Alexander Voss followed him, or got out behind him, but didn't change tyres. And the Ferrari is changing tyres every stop. Team BS, with both of their cars, are double stinting the tyres. So only when the new driver gets in do you get a new set of tyres, and then you do 2 14-lap stints. What Team Redline have been doing is doing a 7, then a 6, then change driver. So 7, change tyres, 6, change tyres and drivers, 7, change tyres, 6, change tyres and drivers. That's how they've been doing it. And at the moment, they're 11 seconds to the good. I thought that would have gone out a little bit more, and indeed 4 of those seconds came last time around for Jonas Wallmeyer. Courtesy of an 8:04 against almost an 8:09 from Alexander Voss. Nils Koch is in 3rd position in the second of the BS competition. BMW, he's 6 seconds behind his teammate and 4 seconds ahead of Agustin Canapino, the Argentinian multiple touring car champion in real life for the Marla Racing team in the Audi LMS. That's the 186 car. He's got the better part of half a minute on the blue Ferrari, the MSI esports car. That's the 75 of Mark Perez. Josh Thompson makes up the top 6 in the white and faded blue Audi R8 LMS from Williams Esports. Same part of the track that it looked like Lafuente was going to have a go last time, running up the hill towards the bottom of the carousel. Unable to make that pass again, but has clearly got a very good car and VMAX as they're now in the right-hander, that long sweeping right-hander, aiming towards the end of the advertising hoarding. As you could drop in here, so you line in, and then patience. Now you can pop out. You want to stay there as much as possible. You pop out the second carousel a little bit earlier. 911 Cup class we're talking about now, and that is very, very close indeed. 718 GT4s. Matti Sipila, the core Sim Racing, he leads that in the 304 car, the white Norwich car. Andrei Rajovic for Team Heusingfeld, 301 in second. That's about a minute, that lead now. And then half a minute back to third, Zorg Rensport Esport with Stefan Ieper in the 333 in third place. Manuel Hoyer is in Positive Sim Racing's Porsche number 78, and here's the next one back. In the scroll down because I didn't do that earlier. The Audi class, Max Esterton for Vendebar. Sim Racing Blue leads by just 4.5 seconds from Diogo Pinto for Sim RC, the 76 yellow car. Ethan Griggs Gold is there as well. He's another second further back for Evolution Racing Team. That's the 26 car, and then they've got 8.5 seconds on Stelian Shebelevsky in Craig's Setup Shop Friends, the 63 car. Johnny Brandon, XVR Sim Racing, is next up, 6 seconds further back. He's got 8 seconds to the car that makes up the top 6, was Robin Haas in Team RSO 597. And that's how they stand with 3.5 hours, call it 3:35 gone, so still well over 20 hours to go, nearly 20.5 hours to go. Just starting to see that sun possibly be a bit of a problem in the eyes of the driver. That's one of the things that people new to particularly iRacing don't always understand, Nick. You only have one view in iRacing. It's not like on your console games when you can watch the car from a distance. It's all on-board views.
You are sitting in the seat in front of the steering wheel. You can't go higher. You can't go above the car. You can't sit on the roll bar. You can minutely affect where you are in the car, so you can kind of move forward or back in relation to the
move the seat up and down a bit.
Yeah, so you can get yourself comfortable. But yeah, that's all you can do. You can only drive from the driver's seat, and certainly something you tend to drive a bit higher up. It's a bit of a shock to begin with, but you get used to it very quickly. And certainly, one of the key skills you have to learn is to actually work with that into 30 feet. There's a huge gain by the 211 the Fuente. But interesting, there's a lot of weaving by Vecchio, who I assume was trying to break the toe. I'm not sure that.
Also, did you hear how much the engine note was going up and down? They're bouncing around a lot, those cars, aren't they? Immediately onto the defensive by the leader in the 911 as they come onto the start-finish straight, and in and out of the sunshine as the shadows are stretching across the track, and Fuente goes to driver's left, tries to go the long way around. I reckon he should try and drive around the outside there. If he really wants to go through, just drive round the outside and then get the left-hand side of the track for the left kick. I think he's not quite as brave or as good on the brakes as the 911, is he?
No, 3 times he's tried that, and 3 times it hasn't looked like he was going to have any chance whatsoever of getting past. And the interesting thing is, what it actually does is it slows them both down, which is counterintuitive to what they want to do, which is put more gap on third place Marcus Ullach of Alpine Racing, currently 12.6 seconds back. He's got more straight lines, but well, that's a little bit of a confusion around one of the TCR cars there. I mean, he's got away with it. It wasn't really any particular fault, which is that case when you come across the car at the wrong point, when the person you're chasing has got past them, that kind of that panic that you're going to lose a huge amount of time behind the back marker. Not happened. And they're now nose to tail again. But it's interesting that when you have 2 evenly matched cars and 2 evenly matched drivers, it's actually relatively difficult to get past the Nürburgring, despite the fact you've got what is it? How long is that back straight? 2.5 miles?
No. Do you know, I know I should know this. I think I'll have a look next time around, but I think it's nearly 3 kilometres before the kick.
2 miles-ish then.
Yeah. It's certainly over 2 kilometres. But I don't know whether that's measured to beyond the kink, because effectively the kink is flat.
Yeah, I know. I would include the kink in that, because you can still it's really up to the heavy braking at Tiergarten is where you
and that is insanely late in anything that you drive. When you start off and you're braking at the bottom of the hill, and then you think, that's not right. And I mean, even when you drive a road car and road tyres on a tourist lap, I mean, you're not up to the same sort of speeds. But I've been fortunate enough to do laps in quite exotic road cars on the full Nordschleife without having to go off where you do halfway down the Dottinger Hill. And the way that you can attack that, because it's uphill, and it's very steeply uphill at that point, it's insane. Hello to Gareth Evans, who's been tuned in for quite a long time. He said, just switched to audio only for a dog walk for an hour, and like many times in the past, I couldn't tell the difference. Like many times in the past, he said, I couldn't really tell the difference from reality. So I'm back now, time for lockdown cocktails. And he's in his shed And Gareth is a big model maker.
All men should be.
Yeah, and he's got what looks to be, well, there's a helicopter there that he's starting, and that's not a Lightning there, that red thing, is it? No, I need to zoom in on that. I'll retweet that, and you can have a look.
RC jet planes, they're fantastic.
RC jet planes, yes, please. Anyway, that's a whole other. I'm going to retweet that, Gareth, and see what we can get from the collective. Just done that. Thanks, Gareth. He's done a bit of sim racing in his time as well. First and second in TCR together.
All together as well now, yeah.
In fact, is that
working out?
Yeah, and here comes that battle for first and second in the 911 Cup class. They weave their way through, and this is danger time for everybody concerned. Everybody got to have their wits about them. Again, La Fuente is far more conservative, but great driving. Oh, the TCR leader goes offline, and he's hit the wall. And the TCR leader is off in that exchange. He was actually, and do you know how many times does this happen? Max Esterton was trying to be a good driver. He got offline and completely lost the back end. So Esterton lets the leader go through. He knows the second place car's there for the next left-hander, so he stays out wide. And the moment he can't get turned in, he's gone. And that, I mean, Nick, again, make the point to people who don't know, the track is evolving all the way through. So on the racing line, it's rubbering in, but off the racing line, it's getting dirty, and there's marbles, there's rubber debris.
Yeah, and certainly he wasn't on the correct line. He just, and you've seen this accident happen. I mean, it happens as all, even as very basic guys. Where suddenly you just effectively you moved it offline, maybe a mistake, maybe to get out someone's way, and suddenly you do what you think you've done before, but you're doing it a yard or a metre to the right. The grip's not there, and you just understeer off the track, and it's a slow motion death because you know what's going to happen. You're desperately hoping you're not going to hit the barriers, but he's gone in both sides. He's got it flat, so probably got away with suspension damage. We've got bodywork damage. We need to see how the sim models that slowing him down, and the fix of that will be several minutes. If they decide to fix it,
no quick fixes
down. They won't.
No quick fixes in this event, so it will cost him time. That means we've got a new TCR leader as well, of course, as Diogo went through. Well, I say that.
Yeah, he's going backwards now, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. So Diogo did go through, and Ethan Greg Galt has gone through into second as Max Essen in that Vendeval sim racing car is struggling. Again, I'm going to make the points here, but whilst we can't always see the extent of the damage on the exterior surfaces of the car, there is no doubt that Max Esterton is feeling that. Also, you've got his tyres dirty on the grass, and that would have been pretty horrible. And that was one of those things where in real life, exactly as sim racing, he'd have been far better off sticking to his line and making the faster car wait one more corner.
Yeah, the other thing also is it's a big shock. He's been sitting in that car for a while. He's in a beautiful rhythm. Everything's suddenly he's had a genuine bang on the side. That was with his wrenched the steering wheel off his hand. He'll felt that as an accident. He'll know what's going on. You've got to compose yourself. You've got mind back in it. Now he's managed to hold pretty well to the second place man, so perhaps he has got away with minimal damage. He hit a tyre wall rather than the barrier. You usually see at the moment, obviously, he's gaining from the toe as well, so possibly he may think, no, this is fine. It'll be what you will be doing is be on the straight and working out what your top speed is, because that's the thing that gets hit. You get a little knock, a little nudge will knock off 5-6 miles an hour from your top speed, which down that back straight, is going to destroy you as far as going anywhere is concerned. So especially on this track, to be really looking at seeing what has been the effect of the accident. What is my assessment? Do I stay out and we do it at the next scheduled stop, or do we come in and do it out of phase?
Every driver's briefing I've ever been at, they tell drivers in the support classes, and I've never been in the top class. Best I've been in is GT4, where there's been multiple classes, should I say. But quite often, even if there's only been one class, it's not like I've been at the short end of the field, to be honest. But multiple class racing, they always tell you it's up to the faster car to get around. Now, you've heard me say before, Nick, there is a skill to being passed as much as there is being lapped, and I've got, and as to doing the lapping, I've got to say, as the leader of the class, I think you've got to say that was a little bit too generous there by Max Esterton. And so what you've got to do in that point is, instead of being half-hearted and say, shall I leave the door open, shall I not, which actually doesn't help the following driver either, you've got to claim your piece of the track really early and say, you and I both ride motorcycles on the road. What do they tell you when you're learning to ride the motorbike? Leave people in no uncertain terms of where you're going to be on the track. So if you're going into a roundabout, don't let them drive you to the inside. Claim your piece of road. And I think that's what Esterton should have done there. He's got a quick car though, certainly quick in the draft.
I think he's got away with it. I think it looks like he may well have got away with it, because he was not losing in the on the straight. That's where it would most likely happen. I think he had to recompose himself and think about it. But you know, he sideswiped the bodywork onto tyres rather than barriers. So perhaps he's been lucky, and it wasn't the fastest of accidents. It was a total side to side. So it's, if you're going to get away with something, it'll be that. Yeah, he might be reporting to his team is absolutely terrible. So don't forget, all these teams have radios. You can have a conversation with the team manager. One of the good things about iRacing is there's no clear dead spots either, so you can talk all around the track and tell them what's going on.
Do you know what? That is really important here.
Yeah.
What car are we? That is the
Panther machine, isn't it?
Yeah, Real World sponsor. And that is the number 24. So he's been in that. This is his first stint. Matti Kachur did 10 laps, then 8 laps. Some of the guys did 20 laps in the TCRs, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that now for later.
Wow. So it's Ethan Briggoult in the 26 car, the Panther car, currently who has benefited most from the problem which Max had a couple of
He's on his second stint. He did 10 laps. So Cooper Webster started that car with the best, with an average of 8.55, which is not bad at all in a TCR. And Ethan then did an average of 9.06 on his 10 laps, and he's averaging 9.04 so far in the, what are we on at the moment? He's just finished lap 20 in the 4 laps that he's completed, so he's getting quicker. He's settling into his work. By the way, if you want to see this strategy software that I'm using, you go to radiolemans.com, click on the link on the front page that is DN24, and there you'll see there's a link to the produced TV feed from the guys from RaceSport. Underneath that, you've got a timing page. If you click on the little graph on the top right-hand side of the timing page, there's all kinds of things that you can lose yourself in several minutes. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 screens just for timing at the moment. It doesn't actually make me any better. It just confuses me.
And whilst we're watching these guys, the leader 60. Has got into the pits, John. Jonas Weimar has entered the pits in the Team Red Line Black, and Maximilian Beneke has got in the car.
So Max back into that car.
On what we
don't know, of course, is because we haven't had team lists there. So the Ferrari already changed driver. So Beneke back in the car. He's got the 10,000 plus I rating. And looks like the BS car has. Oh, now that's interesting. Is that one of the BS cars followed him in?
No, there's 2718, I think, in as well.
Okay, fine. So, let me see. I need to refresh that just to see how many laps they did, because they've been doing 7.6. They did 7.6, 7.6.
I think that was 7, wasn't it? Because they came in on 20, and that's 27. So 7.
So Jonas Valmeyer did 7 and 7. Absolutely right. So all right. So they've changed. That's a slight change. So still don't know why he came in 1 lap early, but that's very interesting for me. And they are changing. You'll be able to see this, Nick, from the pit stop time as well. But they've been changing tyres on every stop on that. So through has gone BS competition. Alexander Voss, who really wasn't able to close. Now he's on the end of a run on stint old tyres, so he's got 1 more lap to do before he comes in. He wasn't able to close, but he didn't lose too much time. to Jonas either. He dropped back about 15 seconds, I think, the last time that I looked. He's got 4 seconds on Niels Koch, the team car, and 7 cars. Bruno Spengler will get into that at some stage later as well. Interested to see how the real-world drivers do in the dark as well. That's the other thing that I'm looking forward to. Hello to Livingston Zagonda, who's tweeted us. He says this is just as captivating as in real life. I hope this doesn't go away once the real season starts. Livingston, anybody else thinking that this is happening all the time? All that the change is there's a few more real-world drivers getting involved because they haven't got anything else to do, and we're hoping that we're shining a little bit of a light for the real-world racing community into the fascinating world of virtual racing. A lot of people sitting at home have signed up for iRacing, bought themselves a rig, and decided to have a go themselves. And trust me, if you do that, you will appreciate how good these guys are even more. But no, this won't go away when real world racing gets behind a green flag again. Let's head back into the Porsche class. Still 911. This is not a replay.
They're just still going for it. Yeah, just to add about virtual racing, the thing to remember is that there are many thousands of people now in iRacing, so you will find someone to race against who's your level, and iRacing makes that happen. So in all their competitions, they have about 25 to 30 competitions running all the time, like every hour, every 2 hours, and they have anything up to 12, 13 splits a day. So you always find someone. You're not going to be racing at maximum benefit the day you start. Don't worry about that. You'll find people who have the same level of, let's say, incompetence as well as competence as you go around. But yeah, I mean, I think we discussed a little bit on the Motorsport on Wednesday, but I think that the e-sports, yes, this professional e-sports are going to continue to go out. But I think the working with professional racing drivers, real life racing drivers, that's what's going to fill our off-season. Our off-season, which is already limited in the sports car world, but obviously very wide in the single seater world. We're going to fill it with quality races. I think that's great.
The other thing as well is, I've mentioned this in a couple of interviews that I've been asked to do recently, is that there are benefits to the real world racing series like IMSA, like the Nürburgring. For people watching this now who may not realise that this track is actual, and it's not the fiendish, nightmarish concoction of some game design. This is real, and roughly speaking, about once every 3 to 4 weeks, if we've been racing, there'd be a 4 or 6 hour race on it, and there is a 24-hour race on it as well. And that's what we're replicating here. And if you think this is hellishly entertaining now, and it is, by the way, and we're still watching the lead for the Porsche Cup class. Now let's see if Daniel Lafuente can get the run onto the long straight this time around. He's right up underneath the leader at the moment. Comes out, I think, a little bit early there, but I understand why he's done that. He's going to lose the aerodynamic time. Imagine what this is like with 170 cars. Yes, 170 cars in what? 20 classes? It's extraordinary. Side by side, heading towards the Bilstein Bridge. Now, Lafuente is a little less brave on the brakes than the 911 alongside it of Gianni Vecchio. He's got to stick it in there. Go on, son, keep it in, keep it in. Oh, it just won't hold on. And being on the correct line, Vecchio means he can just hold on to the throttle, Nick, what, quarter of a second longer, and it made a huge difference.
All you need when you've got the correct line going through a massively fast kink there. And the other interesting thing, we had a bit of on board
outside
2-1 car. Will he get it this time? He's trying it. It's the 4th time he's tried it.
He's got to stick it down the outside. If he keeps doing the same thing's going to happen. But he's got to be braver. And he's not. Now, he's got to let the brakes off after the first amount of braking and slam it and block pass him into the left-hander. And it's a slow-speed corner. You can do that.
The over-under might have worked if we weren't actually on this unique configuration and we were going back on themselves. You could possibly then get the inside line for the sharper left that normally follows the hairpin. But,
I reckon if you brake and then you brake and get yourself slowed down, and then you turn in, roll the brakes off and accelerate really hard, you're more than alongside him. And then at that point you have to... Now, if he can go around the outside of you again, but you block past him like you would in motocross. That's what you've got to do. He just doesn't have the confidence to do that.
all risk and reward. It's risk and reward, though. It's not a 10-lap Porsche, Super Cup event supporting the Grand Prix. It's a 24-hour race. One thing's probably...
Thus speaks Nick Damon, the man who is getting all these results on iRacing at the moment by not falling off.
I have a massive safety rating and a very low I rating. But yeah, just think we were on board with the 211 car for a while then, the RNG Sport with Daniel Fuente, and we got a fantastic view of how the sun was affecting him. But he came right into his eyes, his virtual eyes, we realised, and then he just turned a corner and you have this lovely kind of swept bit of evening sun. Then he turned around again and it was in shade. So you now already have 3 types of light on the track, and as the sun will be setting, and it will be setting over the next 35-40 minutes, it's going to get more and more complicated, and you do get blinded by the sun. It is designed, the lighting effects on the games will actually blind you as it will in real life.
So 2 leaders are now into the pits. The gap had come down between Alexander Voss and Niels Koch in the 2BS competition BMWs to just about 3 seconds. They come to the end of the pit lane. Augustin Canapino, real-world driver as well as experienced sim racer for Marla Racing team as well in the Audi. He's coming from 3rd position. Mark Perez should come in as well in the the MSI Esports blue racing car. He's coming in now. Josh Thompson in the Williams Esport Audi should come in from 5th. That's the white and then graded blue car. Mike Nürnberg's in the Vela Racing team Euronics.
Both the BMWs have put their real-world drivers in. Bruno Spender has got into the BS competition number 7 in that car, and Philip Eng has gone into the BS competition $89. So that's actually the 89 car and the 7 car. So we have Philip Eng, who's been setting the world of virtual racing on fire, and of course Bruno Spender, who's off the back of 2 IMSA wins. But in leader, Max Benecke, the man with the 10,000 iRacing, which is just unbelievable.
And by the way, Sami Matti Trogen, Finnish driver, has got into the Marla Racing team car. So Sami Matti, who we've seen with Marla in some of the 2 driver races, is backing up Canapino and Arana in the Marla Racing Audi. That's another Williams Esport driver into that. Sami Matti, no mean driver, or very good driver in the real world, both in touring cars in Scandinavia. He's done rallycross as well, and he should, had we have been racing in the real world now, he should have been at least getting a test for, I've got a feeling it was Falkenhorst, and I still haven't had a chance to find a spare screen to look that up again, but I've got a feeling he was meant to be testing a BMW with Falkenhorst here at the Nürburgring, where he has never turned a real lap, not even on the tourist lap. So I've got more laps round here in reality than he has. And you have as well, yes, absolutely.
One.
Yeah, you did it in style though, mate. You did have, what did we say, 550 horsepower of Audi V10 power?
One day I'll tell you that story on there. Anyway, so...
what's the end of the story?
When we took it back to Audi, you blamed me.
No, it wasn't. I didn't take it back.
I might not blame for something. Anyway, just a bit of a side note, I won't say the Audi R8s are particularly strong in the virtual VLN. They have picked up, of course, a 30-kilogram penalty for this race. They are also on a new tyre model as well. Going to slight subtle change the tyre model for the RS3. Apparently it was
the R8.
R8, sorry. Yeah. Apparently it was. They reckon the degradation was not in line with real world. So they have got a different degradation model now.
So after the pit stops at the lead, and we'll catch you up with that in a moment. Let's go back to the closest battle on the track, which is still the Porsche 911 Cup class, which, by the way, is running just outside the top 10 for positions in 11 and 12 and 13, excuse me. And it is still nothing between them. We'll be able to get Daniel Lafuente on Mastermind with the specialist subject of the back of a Porsche 911 driven by Gianni Vecchio.
This is getting close to an hour, because I took over from Bruce about an hour ago, and this has been on the screen virtually the whole time. So they have been nose to tail for an hour, and it's great fun, but also it's a higher level of concentration, because you are trying not to run the back of people as well, and also looking for a chance to get past. Now, Interestingly, the interesting question I have for you, John. Do you think that sitting in the slipstream, you could save enough fuel to do anything on the road? Because the lap's too big to go on, and that's getting around.
Right, it's always worth saving fuel, Nick, even when you've got a 25-kilometre lap, a bit more with the longer version here. It's always worth saving fuel when you have got a fuel fill that is the same for everybody else. So even if you save half a lap of fuel, well, it doesn't make any difference to how much time you can go between pit stops. But what it does do is it means you have to put half a lap less of fuel in when you're standing in the pit stop, which is time.
And get you past in this situation.
Well,
because you are, I suppose in reality, what's the time? It's like 1 second on average between two of them?
Yeah, and I think it's 2.95 litres a second, the fuel fill. I may be wrong, actually, I probably could work that out, because it's about 25 to 28 seconds for a fuel fill. But again, I was looking at the supplementary regs. Coming down to Brunchen, and in fact, beyond Brunchen, they're into the Plansgaard now, aren't they? So they're heading towards the end part of the lap, and they'll get the sun in their eyes as they come down over the bridge here and head into the Swallow's Tail.
Beautiful sun effect there.
Yeah, very nice. Pretty clean windscreen. There is 1 or 2 bits of debris on there. It would get very nasty if you picked up a bit of dirt or smudges from cars that were losing oil, which does happen in the Galacom. Oh, now that's interesting. Now he's got to get a better run now through. Oh, he changed up there. That was interesting for Daniel. Changed up and then put right. Now leave it in the slipstream. Don't pull out yet. Don't pull out yet. Don't pull out yet. Stay there. No, I still think he's pulled out too early. The other thing is, I'd have gone down the other side. I'd have put the left-hand side of the car out. We've seen the pass on the grass here in real life, but the
got a bit further this time, but he's still not actually ahead. It looks like the view was
side drafted. Side drafted. Get in close to him and see if you can get a little bit of side draft. It might not speed you up, but it might slow it down. Now, Derby staying on the throttle? No. Once again, the leading car is going through Gianni Vecchio. Now, by the way, I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, there's not a chance I can do that in the virtual world. Oh, and they've all put together. So, now this is going to be very interesting to see then, is there going to be any difference in the fuel time? Now, in the real world, there is a minimum pit stop time to even out the fuel flow between all the pumps. In the background, you can see the fuel pumps. It's 1 fuel pump per 2 pits. And they are standard, absolutely standard pistol grip fuel fillers like you get at the petrol station. And some of them fuel at slightly different rates. So in the real world, you would have to have a minimum fuel stop, because in the virtual world we can regulate all that. The fuel's all going in at the same time. So in terms of fuel fill, it should be exact. You don't have to change the tyres every time. You don't have to change the tyres every time at the front of the field either. That's a change from our DNLS coverage. So it will be down to how long the fuel is in those cars, Nick.
Yep, and they both changed drivers, so it's now Alexei Usi-Yakala in the 911 and Thibaut Kazuron in the 211, so they can start the battle anew. But the question is, obviously, will the 211 have saved enough fuel to just hop past the 911? At the moment, they're still sitting there. We see they all go together, and the answer to that is no. They've gone off in the order in which they came in, I think. The 211 actually took a bit slow, I think.
Kazabon started the race for his car, and they've all been solidly doing 7-lap stints there in these Cup cars. And so it's as you were. The Porsche in behind there is the 17.
The fact that the 17 car in 3rd place is caught up 20 seconds with the Gingunal racing team with Dimitri Matos. Now they have had a much faster pit stop. Now I'm not sure what they've done, but they gained 20 seconds.
Wow. Well, that's more tyres then, isn't it?
Which would seem interesting, but I suppose it's cooling down.
It's cooling down. Although in fairness, they have changed drivers, so you'd want to give your driver a new. Oh dear, have they not pressed the right buttons? Have they not filled, or have they not tired?
Well, their lane time is 27 seconds less than the two leaders who were within 0.4 of each other, the 91, so the 70 has done something very different and has made up that time, but that is either at the expense of having no fuel in the car, which will be a disaster because it won't get round a lap, or no tyres, which you kind of think is not where you want to go at the moment. If you do double stint, it's not this time of day, it's over the night you might get a chance.
And we did see at the front of the field, double stinting didn't actually work for the BS competition guys. So the 17 in the gendarme colours, which I do like.
There are some great liveries. I mean, our friend of the show, Andy Blackmore's been doing some really good professional liveries. But there are some great liveries which people just knock up for themselves, by often based on you see the picture of a famous person suddenly on the bonnet of a car, because you can do it virtually. Yes.
Hello to Simon Tibbett, who's tweeted using the hashtag D24RLM to @RSL_studio. Great coverage, really exciting. This Heider Sword Red Sport. This is great, real competition. I'm glad that's catching on. It's real competition. Say what you want about the virtual world, but first of all, it's millimetre perfect from when it was scanned. The dynamics of the car are so close to real life that it's unbelievable. Changes that you make are pretty close to real life. Excuse me, life as well. Or there are one or two vagaries which people have to learn, but it is real racing and real competition.
Yeah, there is a tyre model, which there is a universal tyre model. It's not you don't have different tyre brands, whilst they may have different tyre branding on them. They are all worked on a universal tyre model, which, as you'd expect from any competition device, is controversial in how it works. Some people hate it, some people love it, but you then work the car out to handle with that tyre model.
Snooty McFlude, who's got that is one of the best Twitter handles ever, says, I'm really enjoying this. I feel I should find some German house music to play at ridiculous volume later so I can't sleep, just to make this feel even more real. If you've ever been to the 24, you'll know exactly what he's talking about.
Just set your wastepaper basket on fire, that'll be enough for anybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like that as well. Like that as well. So at the front of the field, Maxime Beneke. Is it Beneke?
I think it's Beneke, but
Beneke,
I am not the expert on foreign pronunciations, as we are well aware.
Leads by half a minute now. That Ferrari back half a minute up the road, and it is Philip Eng who got in the BS competition 89. The 7 is Bruno Sprengler, and the Marler Racing Team Audi has Sami Matic Trogan on, and they're a further 6 and 4.5 seconds behind. The MSI Esports now has Alejandro Sanchez back in the car, and there's 75 cars, another 18 seconds further back, 23 seconds back from him. Andre Volticher for Williams Esports, that's a new driver in that car, and then he's only got 0.6 of a second on the Biela Racing Team Euronics Ferrari. Andre Melchers in the 450. 8th position for Martin Tila for VRS Guanda Sim Sport in the BMW. He's another 25 seconds further back, and he's got, let's call it a minute, to the best of the Mercedes-Benz Baz Visa, the Mercedes-Benz E-Sport, the 23 car. Maxim Bunovic, the Sim Racing 247 Ferrari. The number 1 car is another 40 seconds further back. Let's look down the rest of the GT3 field there, as Nick keeps an eye on what's going on up the hill again. Fuente closes in.
It's Casabon now.
Casabon, yes, of course. But it's the
same thing. It'd be interesting to see if a different driver has a different level of, shall we say, daring to do, perhaps, or throwing caution to the wind. But there's a couple of corners left just there for the 911 with Uzi Jakula, who's pulling away quite nicely.
Uzi Jakula, I think that's it.
Soft J, Jakula.
I would say so, yeah.
No, I think you're probably right. I think the issue with finish names is it can be hard or soft on the J.
Yeah, true enough. 11th is Dylan Shepherd for One Performance Racing BMW. 12th, Kurt Stenberg is the last of the GT3s, the SP9 cars. And he's still on the lead lap, actually, almost 7 minutes behind, so he's not that far away from falling off the lead lap. Then it's the Porsche battle that we've been watching so closely. Porsche 24 driven by Red Line Alexi Ursi Yahola ahead of Thibaut Casabon for R8G Esports. I don't need to tell you that there's less than half a second between those two. You can see that if you're watching on the stream. Dimitri Dimatos is in the Guignol Racing team. That's the French Blue police car look-alike, as the leaders are battling down towards Bunchen and through it. And behind them it's Robert Klotz for Alpine Eagle Racing. He's another 20 seconds further back. Team Red Line Cup. Guess who's in the Red Line Cup car? The 69 car with Max Verstappen, who's in that car. It's Ayachan Guven, who is the Porsche young driver, Turkish driver, double Carrera Cup winner. And he's now in 5th position, 34 seconds away from 4th. Oh, hello. And there is Ayachan there. I mean, his IMSA iRacing debut recently and was tremendously impressive, but just didn't quite have the pace at the end because I think his tyres were on the way out. Behind Ayachan is Griffin Gardner, but he's 50 seconds further back for Burst Esport. HM Engineering, Jordan Weeks, 959 for a group Porsche number there. 5 seconds further back from that. Brendan Cronin, about 70 seconds, 68 seconds. TQ Engineering, 68 is 8th in the 911 Cup class. Richard Skender, Eclipse Motorsport, 9th, just 4 seconds back. And then another minute further back, XDL Esports by Logitech, Lauren Benzo. And then we're into the 718 class as the drag race down the Duttinger Hall continues. And I'll quickly give you a rundown of that if I get the right mouse. There we are. That's all I needed to do. Actually, I'm going to watch this for a moment, Nick, because I'm interested to see what the new driver, what Thibaut does. He stayed in behind the leader much, much longer. And I wonder if he's going to sweep past or throw a dummy up the left-hand side. What do you reckon? Swing around the outside and then stick it up?
He's going to go a bit more as he blocked up by the 911 there. And yeah, much different concept. Didn't come out of the slipstream. Sat in there the whole way within about less than a metre behind the car. Thought about coming out. I'm not sure whether that back marker, you can see the went past the TCR car, may have stopped that, but he's certainly not been quite so aggressive. He's happy to sit in the slipstream at the moment. He's Thibaut.
Thibaut, Casabon.
He's got a drive now. He's going to get the inside.
Oh, that's lovely. Absolutely. Now he's going. Now watch what the 911 does. If he just drifts, head for the apex. Head for the apex. That's what I was talking about. Why did Lafuente do that? All right, he hasn't managed to hold on, but that's exactly the move I was talking about with Daniel Lafuente. He didn't do that. He didn't press it too hard, and I understand why you didn't. But you've got to make the guy on the outside make the decision, haven't you?
Yeah, that was a good move. He effectively set it up 2 miles earlier. His decision was, I need to be as close as possible as we shoot onto the new part of onto the Grand Prix loop. And I am then going to go up the inside. Now, in fairness to Usi Jacola, he didn't immediately go to the inside and block that route. So it was kind of like, okay, you gave the inside line to Thibaut, and he got through. Now, I'm getting a little bit of extra speed here, and I think we may see a 2-on-1 pull away.
Well, presumably he's been sitting watching his teammate for the last hour while he was waiting to drive, like you have, and I have, and go, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you are going to get the same result, aren't you?
Exactly.
That's the way it works.
It's an interesting I think he sat down and thought about that for a while. It's worked, and now it's very much down to the finished driver in the 911 car to work out if he can hold on to him, and if he can hold on to him, can he get past him again? Yeah.
Let's run down the rest of the classes. 718 class, that's the GT4. Matti Sipala for Core Sim Racing leads by a minute 51 from Stephen Ebart in the 333. That's the Zorg Red Sport car. Some supporters out there. He's got half a minute on Team Heusingfeld. If you're not sure, Heusingfeld make very, very lovely in terms of their look, their feel, their quality and their usability. They make lovely rings to bolt your sim stuff onto and some of the riffles as well. Christian Kiewit is behind the wheel of the 301. Positive Sim Racing's another 5 seconds further back and forth. Manuel Hoyer, yes, spun like the watch people, and that is the 78 car. Redface Racing we saw having a spin earlier on. Frederic Saint-Denis Saint-Denis has recovered in that car. He wasn't at the wheel when it spun, but he's up into 5th place now, just 8.5 seconds behind 4th and 21 seconds ahead of Manuel Weibel in the Team RSO 397. York Michel Franck is in the ASD Elite team, that's 306. He's in 7th. 8th is Filippo Orlandi, DRS Wave Italy 718. And the top 9 is made up by Guillermo Chapet in the high-speed Demons. Nick, you keep an eye on the 7th and 8th place battle, if you don't mind, overall, which is actually just changed, hasn't it? 6th and 7th has just changed over.
Yeah, so it's Biela Racing Team Euronics, and Andre Melcher has just got past the Williams Esports of Andre Boticher, but Andre's not letting him go now, so having been taken out just at the start of the Grand Prix, he's going to chase him all the way around the old Nordschleife.
Lovely. And finally, the RS3 LMS class, which is TCR. Diogo Sapinto, Sim RC leads in that very distinctive number 76, the yellow and black car, and he's pulled out 6.2 seconds on Ethan Greg-Gault now, who's in 2nd place, and 11 seconds further back is Stelian Shebelevsky in the Craig's Setup Shop Friends car, that's the 63. Robin Haase is behind the wheel of the 597 Team RSO. He's 21 seconds further back, and he's got 5 seconds on Full Send Racing Cohen Klopman in the 85. XVR Sim Racing only half a second further back with Johnny Brandon, and they have 40 seconds on Max Esterton in the Vendeval Sim Racing car. Was leading that class, remember, before he went off and hit the wall when being passed by some of the leading SP9 cars. 8th is Pure Sim Racing, and that is Daniel Kraft in the 116. 9th is Kirill Antonov for Lada Sport in that very distinctive sort of rhubarb and custard coloured Audi, the number 50, and the top 10 made up by Sven Glatzel for Team Heusingveld Geo Design. He's 4 seconds further back. Actually, there's 3 cars in 5 seconds there. Let's mention as well Mark Alguero for Race for Cat Motorsport, who are in 11th position. Behind that, people have had issues and have dropped away. 10th, 43rd position is Porsche number 10. That's Jonathan Evart in the OTR Esports car. That car was running up the field earlier on. Casper Henningsen for Bursport Esport Rio Toro, but they are now off the lead. They're class leaders as well. Meantime, battle for 3rd continues, and Nick Damon is watching a beautiful evening light at the Nordschleife.
Lovely, isn't it? Yeah, same Slogan in the Audi R8 is all over the back of Bruno Spengler, who in fairness in the he's in the BS competition car, but he's actually not been going as well as his teammate Philip Heng. When they left the pits, he was about 6 seconds behind, and now a lap and a half later he's 11 seconds behind the similar car, the Z4 of Eng. So he's now fallen into the trap of the Marlow Racing team, so they've also got very good virtual pistons in that car. And the Audi, it's interesting the Z4 is doing so well. It's got a balance of performance that's helping it out. But the Audi was, going into the event, what everyone thought would be the favourite, but certainly some more speed from the Ferraris than we expected. And that little bit of BOP they got through the week may well have actually held them back more than was expected. But there's a long way to go, and certainly the Audi's particularly at night as the temperatures come down, especially when they're time level. So, it is a 24-hour race. We're only talking about the first 4 hours and 14 so far, and the Audi is good round here, and I think they've tried to balance up the other cars too. We've managed to get all 4 of the cars representing the top 10 with the Mercedes as well, and the surprise is Spencer's Spencer's not getting on as well with the Z4 as he has been with the M8, which he's been absolutely dominant of in an hour and a half into races, just popping out into the inside there, looking up the inside. The problem really is, of course, in the Nürburgring, 160, is it 168 corners? I know
it's not.
It's Jackie Stewart. Jackie Stewart, you said it's 168 corners.
I didn't used to say it like that.
Well, no,
it depends what you call a corner as well, of course. I would think there's probably, on the Nordschleife, there's probably 70 to 80 corners, as proper corners. And then you can add the on top of that. Somebody who's got data, and you could do this, Nick, you could lift the data and see where the corners are, because you can see where you actually have to put steering input in. I'm just looking at our strategy overview, and if you want to look at it as well, go to radiolemans.com. Look on the front page, you'll see the link to our resources. There's live video there, and the timing is underneath. And if you click on the little graph to the top right-hand side, just beyond how, just alongside where it says the time remaining, you'll get a whole load of session statistics, strategy overview options there, gap visualization, etc., even drive time, etc. And I'm just looking to see what are we looking at now. And so BS competition then with Bruno Spengler. This is his outlap, Nick. So he is being very careful to make sure he doesn't drop it on cold tyres on his outlap. And I presume it's the same.
No, this is his second lap, John.
Is it?
Yeah, this is second lap. He was 8:11 on his outlap, so this is his second lap. It might be.
No, it could
on 30. Yeah, he changed on 27. So he changed on 27 on lap 30.
Hang on.
So he's done a couple of laps.
Yes, you're right. I had forgot the thing I should have said before that is, if I say I've got the strategy screen, will you just remind me to update it before I go? But what we still have got, interestingly, is the Team Redline Blue, and the Team Redline white car has disappeared altogether, hasn't it? The other Ferrari.
Has it had an issue? Has it dropped right down? Team Redline White, where's that gone? Because there's 13 cars. Oh yeah, it's out. Team Redline White is currently in the grey area. It's joining Glacier Racing, who have a Porsche 718, G-Drive Racing, Exima Porsche, who have a Porsche 911 Cup car, Sim RC.de Carbon in the 376 car of a Porsche 718, and then the final two are two more Porsche 911 Cup cars, the 43 Racecraft Esports car and the 312 S2 Esports machine, and he's been getting up the inside. I'm straight, obviously, outdragged him with the speed of the...
Couldn't do that with the Ferrari. Couldn't do that with the Ferrari. Now he's alongside. Needs to just lean on him a bit and slow down.
Side and
no, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine here.
Yeah,
there you go. He's just held on to it.
Discretion better part of valor, because Bruno could have actually toughed that one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I wish we had that camera angle in real life. The high one above the tear guard.
Well, perhaps the German production company might be looking at some of this and work out. Obviously, they can't do it all around the 25 kilometres. It's just not physically possible. But shots which are near the Grand Prix circuit must be possible to achieve. But Spengler dropping back now. He's effectively off end now by 13.1 seconds. And he left the pits about 6 behind him, so he's just not quite on the pace. But last time round, he did an 8:11, through there an 8:07. But Team Redline Racing with Maximilian Benecke, 8:03. So that Ferrari is just easing its way away from the field with Max on board.
Sorry, I'm just working out my
your
strategy. Yeah.
Your that's far more important than the pit stop strategy. how you combine the cheese, the wine, the biscuits, the cake, and everything else.
I'm afraid to say I got the wine to liquid strategy completely wrong.
Oh.
Sorry, the cheese to liquid strategy wrong, and I've got 3 cubes.
It's just that's the worst of the first world.
3 cubes of Emmental left, and I've drained the glass. So fortunately, the glass has magically topped itself back up again. So I'm alright. So we can go again. We've still got 19 and a half hours, a little more than that, to go. And so there's a little question then. Maybe the guys from Race Sport can see. When they're coming on in a couple of hours, but just under a couple of hours' time, they might be able to update us to find out what happened with the second of the Ferraris. My point I was going to make while I was looking for that was it's only the Ferrari that has done something, that the 2 Ferraris did something different on those first stints, Nick. They did 7 and 6 on both of their cars, whereas everyone else has done 7, 7, 7, 7. So long as I've had a problem. So the leading car, the Team Redline Blue car, that means it will stop 1 lap before the chasing BMW, Audi, BMW, Ferrari. So it's not a Ferrari thing, because the MSI Esports car has done 7-7, so it was Sanchez, Perez, now back to Sanchez, and they've all done 7. Benecke did 7-6, Valmai did 7-7, and now Maxi's back in again, and and he got in at the end of lap 27 and he's on 31, so he's got 3 more to go.
Just sounds like they wanted to get out of phase everyone else. They thought we'll just drop a lap, get out of phase everyone else, have a clear pit lane.
I think it helped.
Bad.
It helped Jonas.
As you know, in iRacing, when you actually find your pit stall, you don't have to worry about the cars ahead of you. You kind of goes through them. You haven't got to make a ridiculously sharp turn to get in there. It lets you, because obviously the pit stalls are much closer than would be in real existence. So you actually you can drive through a couple of cars who are in front of your pit stall to get to your stop. But even so, it's easier if it's empty. It gives you a clean, unhindered entrance, exit as well.
It also helped that Jonas Valmeyer, when he came around, and he wasn't battling right with the cars so when he first got in the car, he wasn't battling with the cars that the team was fighting with.
Yeah.
And also what it meant was that the tyres were up to 10, so if he had the battle, he had a tyre advantage. Lada Sport, Rosneft, iRacing team with Antonov behind the wheel of what I was calling the rhubarb and custard car. You see that? It's not quite rhubarb, is it? It's more sort of tangerine, sort of dark tangerine. He's in a bit of a battle at the moment in the TCR class. That class is currently led by still Tiogo behind the wheel. No, of course not. It's Tibor Kazarabon for Orit Esports, and they're just battling further down. Oh, sorry, no, I'm in the wrong class again. Mind on. Every time I keep when I read
the TCR is Simarsi. You're right, it was Pinto who's leading that one in the 76. What we're looking at is the battle for 40th overall, and I think 8th and 9th in class, which is the 116 of Pearson's Racing, which has got Daniel Craft in it, and the Lada Sport Rosnet, as you say, Rhubarb and Custard Special of Kirill Antonov, and that gap is over a second now. So
is there a misfire there?
Can be. The engines do go wrong.
It sounded like it was fluffing when it was getting close to the rev limit on the 116.
May have been a slow gear change, because there's 3 or 4 ways you can change gears on these cars. I didn't know that. You can actually use a clutch if you want to. You can use a situation where you will be at the throttle for the car when you change down, or you can also look for a meter up, and you can use sequential shift or even use paddles. There's a great number of choices in how you change gear. Most of these modern cars, they don't penalise you for not using a real clutch, because obviously they don't use real clutches once they're rolling anyway, so they don't keep that way going forward.
There is a choice in the real world, of course. You can have a DSG or a non-DSG and put a sequential box in the Audis.
Is it 10 kilograms that costs you?
Yeah, and I have heard people say that there's pro and cons for both of it. You can do it on all the VAG TCRs. You've got the opportunity. The sequential's more expensive. It's said to be in some ways longer lasting, but if it breaks, it's more expensive to fix. But it's supposed to be quicker to change than the DSG, which is based on the road car. Very clever. Twin clutch, doppelgangschlutch.
That's one. Yeah.
I can never remember what. I know what PDK is, but
I quite like doppelgangschlutch, and there's 2 of them, and they're a Sasquatch. So that's excellent news. I think I know we've spoken a lot. We have a lot of TCR work with us in the Cavendish series, and people like Baz Coaten has run a number of different cars. Of course, the Volkswagens are no longer being made, aren't they? They've dropped themselves out of TCR racing.
And Audi as well. They're still supporting their customers, yeah.
So just
Cupra.
Sorry, yes, Cupra brand. Cupras are making. Of course, they were all made the same line anyway, weren't they? All the TCR, they end up with a VW bodywork, Audi bodywork, or a Cupra bodywork, were all made in Spain.
Direct shift. It actually is direct shift gearbox. That's commonly abbreviated DSG, whereas of course PDK.
That's disappointing, because I really hope to be German, because they put their words together so beautifully. It could be anything.
Compound nouns.
Yeah.
Love compound nouns. Liebling-Beschäftigungen. You know what that means?
No idea.
That is a hobby. It actually means my favourite thing to do.
See, how much more descriptive is that?
Yes,
It's like you don't even need a dictionary. I mean, you don't bother selling dictionaries in Germany because you don't need it. It just tells you what it's all about. So who's it? It's the 11 car who has split up that battle there, and that 11 car is obviously one of the Porsches. It's actually the car that's the last of the running Porsche for that 11 machine. We briefly saw SDI Esports by Logitech G being the manufacturers of reasonably priced steering wheels rather than the amazingly high-functioning Fanatec's and similar steering wheels you can get. And that was Laurent Benso in that car.
Is it the same in the sim world? Is it in the real world? Is that speed costs? How fast can you afford to go?
It's not quite that way. I mean, it's interesting. If you look at, we've seen a number of the professional real world drivers pick up and go with it, and a lot of them have these amazing $25,000 rigs with 3 screens. And then you sit down, you'll see, Jacques Villeneuve on an Xbox controller and a laptop. There's an element of skill. I think absolutely. I think there are certain things which will help you go quicker, and it's not necessarily in the steering wheel set. It's nice to get more feedback. It's things like the higher refresh screens, and I personally think, from my experience, that a 3-screen setup would definitely help you if you're in a race situation. It won't make you go faster in a qualifying lap. It's not important who's left and right. It's only important what's in front of it. In this sort of multi-class environment, it's absolutely right. I was missing what was being lapped by everybody at Silverstone last week. Was that? I don't really want to race. I'm just trying to learn.
No.
But you don't quite. You've got a spotter. So it has a kind of American principle. Oddly, the default spotter for iRacing is Australian. You can change it, obviously, and they'll say car left, but you don't want to press a button to 3 screens. I think will really help, but the steering wheel and everything else, it's up to you.
Felipe,
but you can spend $50,000 easily, John.
Filippo Orlandi is pressing on here, and I think he's going to go down the inside, just come out of Adenauer Forst and heading up to the top of the hill. Has he got it done? Are they going to? Now these cars, of course, are the GT4 version of the 718. 718s of this model year would normally have had a 4-cylinder box, but they held on to the 4-cylinder engine rather, but they held on to the 6-cylinder engine. Since then, they've gone out to a beautiful version, new version of 4-litre with a different block, but a non-turbo version of the 4-litre engine, which is very exciting. But these, of course, are PDK, which you'll like this. That does stand for Porsche Doppelkupplungsgetriebe, which translates to Porsche double clutch transmission.
Well, the interesting thing is they are also, John, you'll like this, they are modelled for the Michelin Pilot Cup in America. They are, if you get the standard machines, all come with IMSA logos, so they are actually part of the IMSA iRacing partnership. So you race the Michelin Porsche. I can't remember the other car, and I think it's a Mustang. There's 3 or 4 cars in that IMSA Pilot Cup, and of course there's also a full IMSA Championship as well, which includes most of the GTD cars you would expect to see, and some of the GTE cars, which we've been enjoying every other week, and we'll be enjoying it on Thursday at Mid-Ohio, which I can't wait for. Having gone around Mid-Ohio, it's fantastic.
And yeah, that's Thursday evening European time. Andrew Langham Service says it's the iRacing curse. As soon as they add a new car, either a new version gets announced or the old car gets discontinued. Talking about the Audi RS3 TCR. Just starting to get into, if not the twilight, the gloaming. Now, I think we might be beyond that. That battle for 8th and 9th continues. Daniel Craft, post Pure Sim Racing, has Kirill Antonov right up his tailpipes at the moment. Nice Audi Sport, the sort of Audi Sport logos on the back of that car. They're absolutely on the limit, and right on the soft limit, aren't they?
It's not going to be a tow, is it, really?
No.
This is deliberately holding back. Actually, he didn't get the tow you'd expect to get at all. Now, whether they're actually, which is a possibility, because they won't have the car comes as the car. It doesn't have a Nürburgring gearbox in it.
No.
So they may be just bouncing off a limiter and be able to go no further. You have to go in car so you can actually look at the rev limiter of Kirill. But that was odd that he didn't get anything, so you kind of think that's as fast as the cars can go.
The angry Pothole said, had to leave the coverage for a wee bit. Are we going to get an hourly update? I forgot to do hourly updates, actually. We probably should have done that at 1:45. The hourly updates have been sort of rolling, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
We've been trying to keep you up to date with the other classes while we watch battles around the field at the moment. At the front of the field, let me tell you, whilst we continue to watch a little bit of a scrap going on in TCR for 8th and 9th, it's now 41 seconds at the front of the field as Maxi Benneke just pulls away from Philippe, who's now got Sami Matti-Strogan. Last time around, closed down to under 9 seconds, courtesy of the fastest lap of the race for that car, the 186, 8:05. 1:25 for Sami Matti. Then Bruno Spengler, 8:08 last time around. He's now 6 seconds behind in fourth in the second of the BS competition. BMW is Alejandro Sanchez in the MSI Ferrari, the 75, the nice blue car. 11 seconds further back, as I say, he's got, let's call it half a minute, shall we, on Andre Melchers for Biela Racing Team Euronics. 7 seconds, call it 8 ahead of Williams Esports in the Audi with Andre Botecha. Marty Pietella for VRS Coanda Simsport BMW, half a second further back in 8th. 9th Bas Visser, the first of the AMG GT3s, that's the MPE Sport Racing Team, and then Maxim Bunovic in the Sim Racing 247 Ferrari, it's another 30 seconds further back. Thibaut Casabon, RMG Esports, by 4.5 seconds to Alexiusi Yakola in the red line Porsche. 2:11 from 9:11. They've been having a cracking scrap. Now 9 seconds further back, the French blue gendarme liveried Vignol Racing Porsche of Dimitri Tomatos. This is all in the 911 Cup class. Robert Klotz for Alpine Racing, Alpine Eagle Racing, 3:27, 23 seconds further back. He's got about the same gap, a little more, on the team red line Cup of Ayachan Guven, who was 4 seconds quicker than the car ahead of him last time around, and is just 8/10 away from that car's fastest lap. Ayachan is a pretty decent sim racer, as well as
he was just shy of 8,000 on iRacing.
Yeah,
and he was very quick in the Porsche GT at the Minnesota last week.
Yeah, I was impressed with him in that. Samuel Lieber leads the 718 class for Core from Team Heusingfeld by about 90 seconds. Zorg Rennsport Esports next up from Yannick Danish, and that's because there's a few people pitting at the moment as well in the 17-18 class. The 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th all come in to the pit lane, and that includes your Michael Frank and Filippo Orlando, who were having that battle earlier on in the Audi class. Diogo still leads, that's Diogo Pinto, the Sim RC, 22 seconds from Stelian Tepelevsky for Craig's setup shop. Then Robin Haase, and there's about 40 seconds between those three, with now still 19.5 hours to go. And I'll say to you, Nick, what I'm seeing here, I'm really liking, because this is settling into a nice rhythm. And if I look at the refreshed strategy tape screen, I'm seeing these little building blocks. It's a bit like building Tetris, but lengthways, longitudinally, rather than dropping down. And I'm seeing people now getting into a rhythm and finding their gaps. Maxi is leading.
That should be in this lap.
27:30, end of this lap. Yeah,
should be
agreed. That would be another 7-lap stint. Let's see if they do 7 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is now that kind of feeling you often get in the longer endurance races. And by that I mean, you know, beyond the 6-hour race.
4 to 6, yeah, anything beyond 4 to 6, yeah.
You get that kind of settling point where people are now just doing their job. They are turning laps, they are keeping the car on the island, they're being straight, they're trying to hit a time, they're kind of conserving everything with what they know is coming up is the night. And the night, well, you know, it's going to separate the men from the boys and the women.
You say that, Thibaut Casabon's just put that car's fastest lap in the racing, 8:19 in a 911 Cup car.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to see fast laps now, because you're getting into one of the happy hours as well. And the track's coming in. The track still has some temperature, but it's not got that. It's consistent now. You've not got sun in some parts, and you haven't got shade on others. Also, some of these guys have got their eye righted, and of course, if you get a decent run on a lap, either a clear lap or you get a toe at the right point, you can easily find half a second here or there just with that point. You see that at the moment, the leader of the whole race is stuck behind the leader of the second class, in fact the lap of the leader of the Porsche Cup class,
Lights on the Ferrari, by the way.
So I'm sure obviously they've been modelled correctly. I don't remember the GT3 lights looking like that, but you know, hey ho.
So you've got the normal headlights on the Ferrari in the normal place, but I've noticed this on a couple of, and it's not. I can't honestly say if it's all Ferraris because there's not that many Ferraris in IMSA, so we don't see them very often. But there's then a bottom set of what I would call fog lights right down in the valance. But either side of the intake at the front is another set of driving lights, and that's as many lights as I've seen on the front of any of the GT3 cars, and I just wonder if that's going to give them a slight vision advantage when we get into the darkness.
I would think it would do. I think that, yeah, the more lights the better, especially when you flash something. When you flash two of them, four, you're going to stay on.
Correct. So that's the thing I noticed earlier on, even in the daylight. Unfortunately, we haven't got our track temp data that we normally have, but I'd just be interested to see how much the track temperature is falling. And it's been overcast for quite a while on parts of the track, and I think that's had a bearing on things as well. I know the guys in the truck are listening, our Red Spot colleagues. I wonder if we can do an onboard with Maxi and maybe do a full lap as we're following him around.
I don't think he's got a full lap to go, has he? I think he's in the end of this.
Oh yeah, that's right, good call.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see us going certainly before we lose the light and he gets. Oh, that's a lovely shot. That's beautiful. That's rendering its best. That shot, isn't it?
That's really worked for everybody listening on radio right now, Nick.
Well, I imagine a beautiful sunset over the back of the Nordschleife coming down the Adnan Forest. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Very well done. What I notice about the good guys, and Maxi is undoubtedly one of the best. We're going to have to look at his rating for that. Is the car, there's no excessive movement. And when you do see somebody behind the wheel, the hand movements on the steering wheel mimic how much the hands are moving, and it's little to nothing. And if you watch somebody like a Guy Smith in the GT3 Bentley, one of the things you notice is the paucity of movement, and the very best people are just feeling what is going on through the front wheels. And even though he's now climbing up through one of the fastest climbing parts of the circuit, there's barely a quarter turn of lock going on either way, and the whole thing just looks very simple, almost looks slowed down, Nick, as he turns into the left-hander at the base of the run up to the carousel. I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it?
I think I've just seen one going wrong.
Moving the steering wheel too. It's the carousel now. Right, so
I'm doing it.
Right, so that was the carousel. Just a little bit of wheel spin coming out of that. So now heading up the hill, and next it's going to be a fourth gear left-hander, and then another left-hander, and then over the top of the brow, just straightening up to the right-hand side, down through the box. And even though I can't see the outside of the car, I know exactly where he is on the track, but not because he's getting thrown around at all. He's just, I mean, it's just an extraordinary thing to watch, just how smooth and flowing the back part of the Nürburgring Nordschleife is when you know what's coming.
Yes, that is a key point. When you don't know what's coming, it's a never-ending panic, as you tend not to prang the vehicle. But obviously, Max has done many laps around. He's done a pretty number of laps today, so doing that, we haven't got the teams, have we? We don't know all of the teams in there, because you can do the event with between 2 and 16 races, John, is the official entry. I think this car's only had 2 guys in it so far, isn't it? Now, whether they're going to throw a third person in later, I don't know.
Maxi and Jonas, yeah, absolutely.
So they could run with 2, which is a pretty hefty undertaking, because they are, you know, only doing less than 2 hour stints, so you don't really have a chance to get kicked. We'll be up the whole time. Is as a run 2 hours on, 2 hours off over the night, but yeah, I think it's hard to find somebody who can keep up with you, really. If you're a 10,000 rating, it's not, there's not many you can.
But do you have a nighttime expert? Do you get somebody in to come and do you know, a triple stint during the night, for example.
Yeah,
And everybody gets a little bit more time off.
Well, absolutely. I think also.
And do you save them for the night?
Well, the other thing to remember, John, is there are, being a Saturday, a great number of other esports events going on today.
Good point.
And
very good point.
And Joe's team, who are running in a different split entirely, so you won't see them, have signed up Adam Christodoulou, who was busy doing something else until about half an hour ago, and is now free to race for their team. So I think there may be many other racing drivers who are currently doing something else, be it a full sim effect or a celebrity race, which most of which are ending sort of now in the next hour, so who they will become available to run night stints.
I like the idea of that. Aidan Brown has tweeted at RSL_studio using the hashtag D24RSL. Loving the coverage from Race Spot TV and RSL Studio. It's great. Looking forward to watching late into the night. But the good news is you get the real experts later on when the Race Spot guys come in. Now we're expecting the leader in, and he follows the plan. That was 7 laps. So only the second lap by Max was a 6-lap stint. No calling in for any penalties. So he's heading to his pit, which is down at the end of pit lane. Go ahead, Nick.
Joe, just go back to what you said earlier. You mentioned that on that relatively unpainted Cayman that had Michelin Pilot Challenge across the window strip. Just out of interest where they come from.
10 seconds of fuel. It's about 26-27 seconds just to drive through the pit lane. It should be around, depending on how much fuel you're putting in. Of course, you're going to fill it all the way to the top, but it depends how much you've used in your 7 laps, and it won't always be exactly the same. It should be somewhere near 30-31 seconds, and that's what he's up to now. Still going in, okay.
Just out of interest, we're watching the numbers. Philip Egg in his last stop is currently running second. As you know, he's just taken the lead on this stagger with a 1:32.8.
No tyres.
Pit stop.
No tyres that time for the Ferrari. That's the first time they've not taken tyres in this race. They have taken tyres at every stop, and they did not take tyres. Make a note of that then, as the temperatures are falling, and we were just wondering out loud about this, weren't we, a few minutes ago, as he's back out there. Now that is a major development for the Ferrari team and Team Red Line Black.
Easier.
Well, yes, his temperature in his tyres should remain a little bit hotter than putting brand new ones on. So through went Eng, Sami Matti-Trogen in the first and second. So the BMW BS and the Marla Racing Audi both went through. So that's very interesting.
That's Spengler in his rear view camera, but if he gets up to he won't have his issue getting to temperature, so he'll be able to pull away from Bruno quite easy and hold this third place for the next 24 kilometres, I suppose we've got there, 23 kilometres got there before everyone else appeals to the pits next time around.
Correct. Yes, I agree. So Eng, Trogen, Spengler, Sanchez, Melchers all stopped on the same lap, which was one after what was the leader.
Now, is this going to put them off their strategy? Are they now going to think, we've got double stint tyres as well, or are they going to stick to what they were going to do before, or is it just perceived wisdom? Once the sun is set, you can double stint?
Well, BS have been double stinting anyway, Nick, and I don't think it's worked for them. I do think they've lost time, certainly in the heat of the day at the start of the race. It didn't work out for them. They didn't lose as much time on the second stint of Alexander Voss when he was in the car. Lauren Heinrich, it didn't work for them there at that point, and it certainly didn't happen for the 7 car. So this is the end of the first stint for Philip Eng that he's on at the moment. So he'll pit at the end of the lap, and what we need to know is whether they... I think at this stage, if he's done it...
Yeah, I would assume if they double stinted before, they'll definitely double stint now, because it must be falling into that way. It's probably now massively irritating. They must be massively irritating to them. The leader hasn't double stinted, that advantage just gone. Obviously, he feels just like be out there next to a Porsche, and I don't think he wants to be there either as he goes past the...
But did you see, even when he was doing that, did you see how cool his hands were on the wheel? He knows that Spengler is in the rear camera, and that was a good spot by you there, Nick, in the BS competition, the 7 car. And so now he's coming down, and this is that horrible part of the day. You don't really wants to be getting into the car right now. You either want to be staying in the car through this into the darkness or not getting into the car until it's dark. You get in now and it's neither dark nor light. It's really difficult to see the rises and the falls and the curves and just the contrast in real life I'm talking about here, and it's exactly the same in what we're seeing from Maxi Benegate as well from his onboard. It's so difficult. So you want to go through the darkness. Lovely pass on the 911 as it comes to the top of Callanhard. But we're in that time right now, Nick. My point is where the headlights aren't making any difference whatsoever. They're not, you know, they're not lighting anything up. So it's really tough on your eyes and on your concentration. And I'll tell you now, around the Nürburgring, there's not that much in terms of reflective material. So not like Le Mans, where all of the countdown markers and all of the side markers and the lines on the side of the road are all reflective. It's not here, it's not at Silverstone when we do 24-hour racing there, it's not at Coda, because Formula 1 cars don't race at night, so they don't need to do that. And it's extraordinarily dark here, so that transition time between now and full dark, I think it's the hardest time to drive, even harder than when it's getting light.
I think so. But obviously, I suppose it's best to actually have that, to have the same guy in as it goes down rather than 6 cents. I mean, I noticed the top left corner, it's saying that Team Redline Black 71 is just 2 drivers. So they haven't got a wingman coming in to help them through the night. So they are going to be doing a huge amount of work in between short breaks. But they obviously have done this before and worked out they can happily run through the night with no lost performance, and I hope they're correct. But it is interesting, this on board, as you say, it is the paucity of movement, the complete smoothness of just getting everything round, getting the car leaning into the right part of the track at all points, and therefore using as least amount of steering angle, which obviously has a major advantage in keeping speed up. You're not scrubbing speed off, especially in these very steep uphill sections. I'm surprised that Max is giving us a bit of a, Max Benecke, not the other Max, is giving us a bit of a masterclass.
It's just glorious to watch. And look at the revs as well. He's always in the right rev band. Second out of the main carousel. Third. Fourth. Coming up to the left hand. He leaves it in fourth. Just feathers the throttle onto the limiter up into fifth. Straightens the car out into the sky. And then you stay on the left hand side of the road down to third gear for the next right hand to stay off the curb on the apex there. Third, fourth. Hold it in fourth, lift, leave it in fourth, all in fourth this bit. Now you can accelerate, back off again, down to third because you come to the top of the run into Brunchen and you can't afford to run wide at this left-hander. Diving down the hill, hold it in third, oh, goes down to second, that's interesting. That's right between second and third on that car there, wasn't it? As he went through Brunchen, up towards what's called the ice curve, always stays wet under the trees there. Right, poke to the sky again. You can use the block paving on the left-hand side, stay on the right side rather, stay on the left-hand side of the road, over the jump. Down into fourth gear on the right-hander. Second apex is the one you've got to hit. Now you're building up speed as you're coming towards Flansgarten, the early part of Flansgarten. He's got traffic in front of him. It's one of the TCR cars that's going to hold him up. He's left it in fourth, so he can dart past. Now he goes to fifth. That's really slowed it down there. Nasty camber in the centre of the road there as well. You've got to be so careful. Down into fourth, gently braking through the apex, then down to third for the left-hander before the Kleiner carousel. Use the block paving just a little bit. You don't have to stay in the Kleiner carousel quite as long as the main carousel. You can pop out there. Very important set of corners coming up. 3 apeces, missed the middle one completely. Now look for the curve on the inside. That's where you need to be clipping. And he's spot on there. Eased it in, very gentle angle of attack into that corner, so you don't scrub off enough as much speed. Up into sixth, get your Kindle out. By the way, Jonas Valmeyer got some decent World Championship iRacing, and he's raced in the Audi Sport Safar LMSE Cup as well. Placed third in the championship in 2019, the German, racing for Team Redline. Born in 2000, 9th of September 2000.
That's nice for him. By the way, that little hold up by the TCR cost 0.4 of a second. I was looking at the gap between him and Spengler, and it went down by 0.4 because he got held up by the TCR car for that very short amount of time. So he's going to go past, and we should have in the pits now. And we do have our leaders, or who are no longer the leaders because he's now just switched past them, which is BS Competition 89 with Philip Eng, Marla Racing Team in the Audi with Sami Matti Trogan, and we are expecting none of them to take tyres, I believe, John.
Well, I don't expect the BS cars. Spengler's in as well. Alejandro Sandrich is in the Ferrari, in the blue Ferrari as well. So fuel going in at the moment. You can't fuel and tyre at the same time, which, as anybody knows from me, I think is absolutely the right. So the thing to watch now is if any of them go up on the jacks and take a new set of tyres. It should be the blue striped BMW that goes up first and rolls first. Still being fueled. No tyres for BS, and he's out and running, staying to the right of the blend line. So no tyres either for the Marla Audi and Sami Matti. So that's what we expected them to do, because the BS racing car raced for the pit lane speed limit line for the Ferrari MSI car, and the second of the BMWs, that's number 7 of Bruno Spengler. So they were pretty tight when they came out of the pit lane, and Andre Melchers in the Bela Racing Team Euronics Ferrari as well should be coming out shortly.
Captain Spengler spent about a second longer in the pits than everyone else, and the MSI Eastwood was about 0.4 of a second quicker, so he's got a 1.4 second gain just in the fuel stop and pitting situation, which is a bit weird because it's totally automatic. So unless Spengler wasn't on the pit limiter coming in or out, or that's a much thirstier car, but more importantly thirstier than his teammate Philip Eng, it's a bit odd that he lost that second and a half.
Another fastest lap at the front of the Porsche 911 field for Thibaut Cazobon for R8G, and he stretched his lead to 9 seconds now. Also, Griffin Gardner's just put the fastest lap for that car in for First Esport Hungary. It's an 8.19 for Thibaut, an 8.21 for Griffin, as the leading cars at the sharp end of the field and in SP9, which is GT3 of course, are back out on the track, and Maxi is got something close to 50 seconds now. Max Benecke.
So I think he's picked about 6 up through the pit stop cycle. Most, I think, he picked up 1.8 in the actual pit stop itself, and obviously a few more on the track. So he's now just, again, easing out slowly, Max Benecke.
So if those two are doing it on their own, that is going to be pretty grueling. I wonder if they'll go. The problem is, if you go down to a single stint, it doesn't help you because you're not getting any rest, are you?
No, I assume they're going to carry on doing these, what?
2 hours,
just
2 hours, 2 hours.
Just about 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, yeah. I think so. It's not quite 2 hours, though, is it?
It's a thing which makes no difference.
Well, we'll be running 5 hours, and this is their 3rd stop, so it's not. It's about 1:40.
Seven. They're running at, roughly speaking, just over 8. If you call it 8 minutes.
Yeah, so it's 56
So 7, 8 to 56 plus the bits and pieces. So it is pretty much
1:50. Well, hour 50. Hour 50 for 2. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So in between what's it? Yeah, so hour 50 is not quite 2 hours, but yeah, so certainly not really any time to get any particular shut-eye, especially as one of the things you need to do with iRacing, and it's quite an important point, is always have the next driver waiting to go in case the guy currently in the car experiences a technical issue with their rig.
Good point.
So
something you don't have to worry about in the real world. No, let's check some racing out, Nick. We've got 8th, 9th and 10th together for TCR, and they are, when I say together, I mean absolutely together, as they are running with Sven Glatzel for Team Huizingveld, then the Lada Sport team in there as well. Lada Sport with the rhubarb and custard car, as we talked about the first.
Kieran Sven Glatzel ahead of them. It's XVR Sim Racing number 5 car with Nicole Foggy, perhaps it might well be, I think, probably soft jeans there.
Who did, from memory, a double at the start of the race. in that car. What was that car, Nick? Remind me?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
I'm just going to quickly refresh my strategy.
So they've come together. So who was Kittel? Sorry, fighting earlier. Is this something else different, wasn't it? It was
yeah.
That was Team RSO, wasn't it?
So Nicole did 20 laps at the start of the race, and then handed over to Johnny Brandon, who did 9 laps, and now's back in the car again. So 20 laps at what, 9 minutes?
3 hours. 3 hours and change.
That is, Ironman stints there, aren't they?
Yeah, because the thing about the Nürburgring is you do get, what, a 15-second rest whilst going down the main straight in a 9-minute lap, and the rest of the time it's ultimate concentration because you just haven't got any runoff to play with. And this is why you talk about instant points, you're going off track. I don't think that you'll rack up many instant points, because if you have much more than nil tickle of an off track, you're going to be against the barriers halfway round. It's an unbelievably unforgiving circuit. Everywhere, apart from of course the Grand Prix, which has Grade 1 runoffs everywhere.
Great. You take. I'm looking at average lap times as well. The average lap times are extraordinary for these guys. They are so consistent. That's the thing. And again,
see the toe there?
Yeah, massive toe.
Which is odd because it wasn't the big toe we watched this with Kirill earlier, which makes me think Kirill's carrying some damage that's taken with his top speed away, because it was absolutely amazing toe then for the 777 team with Sven Glatzel. So wondering whether actually Kirill was carrying a little bit of damage, it's taken 3 or 4 miles per hour off his speed, hence he wasn't able to. The shortening distance in the first two in this frame was what you would expect normally from a toe. So he wasn't bouncing off the rev limiter. It's more likely he's got a little bit of a damage, which is taking a few miles out of his top speed, John.
At RSL_studio, #D824RSL. The headlights on the TCR cars now just beginning to start to show up on the tarmac, as at 8:45 in the evening, 20:46 in CET at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and the quite thick cloud around the Eiffel Mountains is really drawing the evening in much quicker than I anticipated at that time of the year. This time of the year, Kirill just not able to get on terms there in that Audi. Kirill Antonov, Polani, Rosnet.
What you remember, of course, is this is the top split of the race. So these 13 guys in TCR are the best 13 TCR teams of at least, probably at least 100 TCR teams entered. So whilst they may be towards the back of the top, they're still very, very competent iRacers. So when you see the cars not behaving as you would expect, it's very likely to pick a little bit of tweak of damage, and you hope they'll think about, is it worth replacing that and just getting those few miles of top speed back again.
Matthew Hindman just had a barbecue, about to put the burner on the garden, just like being at the Nürburgring, except for the lack of bratwurst. Hindhoff and Damon on commentary on this race, and Bruce earlier loving it. Well, don't forget, you've got the race spot guys to come. Make sure you give them some love as well. They are going to have the business end of this race. What happens in the night at the Nürburgring Nordschleife will often decide the race. I was saying to Bruce earlier on, by the way, we've got the top 3 in the Porsche 911 class into the pit lane, and that is spot on time by me. They're doing 7-lap stints from memory.
Change the driver for the 911, who was the second race. Alexander Thieby's taken over, but Theobald Kazubian has stayed in the 2-1 run, which took that lead and eked out about 11 seconds, in fact, with the previous driver in it, with him driving when he got past the fin. So he's taken, I think they're back out and running again. He's left the pits with an 8-second lead, and no one took tyres. Looking at the pit times, which would probably, unless they've step over, I think they've left the pits now, so no one took tyres in the Porsche class either. So obviously people are thinking, hey, this is lovely now, temperatures come off, track is big up, we could double single tyres.
Now, the responsible adult has just told me that on one of the YouTube chats couple of people have mentioned there will be a third driver for the leading car. We haven't had that to us yet, and neither have our colleagues at Race Spot, because if they had, they'd have put it on the graphics for us. So at the moment, we can only work with the information that we're given. The entry list has been a bit flexible, as they tend to be, whilst we're waiting for people to drop into the cars. We didn't have a full entry list of all the drivers in all cars before we started. That's not unusual, so that's no criticism, by the way. That's not unusual in this form of racing. So we'll wait to find out who is the potential third driver for the red line black car. What I do wonder, Nick, is given that the red line white car, the other red line car, did you say that was greyed out and out of the running now?
It was, it's greyed out and hasn't run for some time. So yeah, that one, which had Patrick Christian-Moser, was pulled in. It's currently 12 laps off the lead, which obviously is quite a long way, as we've only done 36, and it seems to have given up. Now, from my understanding, the team members have to be pre-registered with iRacing, but it's possible, there are different rules and different points. And the other thing was you could actually have 6 people registered in your car, but they haven't all got a drive. And they haven't come up yet. Yeah, so what would be interesting, we have had full driver lines announced by some of the teams, but we'll see what red line black do. They may well have, as we often see in endurance races, a driver is registered to 2 or 3 cars in one group, and then choose to drive one of them.
Let's compare and contrast. Bruno Spengler, real world racer, probably could drive the Nordschleife blindfold. Not that I'm suggesting that would be a good idea. Now behind the wheel of the 5th place number 7 PS competition BMW Z4, coming up to Flugplatz, ahead of him Alejandro Sanchez, and not much else, to be honest, so he's got a pretty clear run at the moment. Now I do notice there's a little bit more wiggling of the steering wheel going on from Bruno as he's looking ahead, just as if he's trying to feel and get some idea of what the front wheels are doing, whereas when we saw Max there was none of that going on. And I wonder if that's the difference between somebody in the real world who wants to feel a little bit more, and it's almost he probably doesn't realise he's doing it, but it is translating to the graphics on the screen.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. You do get, as you trudge along, well, it's quite a rough surface still, even though it has been resurfaced at the Nürburgring. You do get little kicks and jolts from the steering wheel as it goes over particular bumps on the force feedback. And depending on the design of force feedback and what manufacturer it is, you can use those to kind of, actually give you the exact idea of where you are. Sometimes even to help with braking points. But I think, it looks like he's trying to get that feel on the front end the whole time. And one of the things that does tend to happen within the iRacing, and with all sim worlds, and it's slightly disconcerting, you do tend to have a dead area around straight ahead. So there's a little dead area, so you can actually move it and it's not doing an awful lot. So maybe he's just trying to pick up the bite and the tyres as he goes on, whereas, because he's a real world driver, whereas obviously Max, who's been doing this forever and is unbelievably brilliant at sim racing, probably he doesn't have that habit because he's used to that feel of the steering wheel.
Could it also be how you set the sim rig up in terms of what, because I've heard a number of real world drivers saying that they had to turn the force feedback down when they were at Sebring because it was actually tiring them out too much.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me actually. Yeah, that there is a lot of I personally also I've turned mine up higher than recommended because I'm just trying to learn how to read what the steering wheel is saying. But I tried the world's fastest gamer in Sebring, and I sat on a £30,000 rig at that, and that had a full-on direct drive steering wheel, which is incredibly strong. And that was so strong that when we went off the track, it would have broken my thumbs if I hadn't taken my hand away. So I would definitely turn it down on that.
Never wrap your thumbs over, so that our thumbs are always to the outside.
Exactly.
I was third and
fourth. It was a toy. I should have done.
I never do that. Third and fourth place in TCR going on for Donegal. Let's see the effect here as Josef Falgren tries to get the draft on the car ahead of him. A quick note as well by Checkers for Wreckers, by the way. once drivers are registered to a team, they can't enter another car in the same session. So they can't enter 2 cars either. Okay. So thanks, Checkers Oregas.
Obviously, they're different then from the full scale. Well, I can see why.
But also different from DNLS, because we have had drivers, I think, entered in 2 cars there, whether they drive them or not. Well, that was a proper drag by, wasn't it?
I know, just literally drafting and relatively easy past the Panther. Now, 3rd place car.
And I think that kind of underlines what you were saying about Kirill Antonov earlier on, because he wasn't able to do that. So I wonder if there is some damage. We saw a couple of the core teammates in the Cayman Cup class in DNLS 2. One of the cars was battling for the lead 1 minute and then had to give best to their teammate to drop down to 3rd, simply because they couldn't get the pace down the Dottinger, the long straight, and that was all down to a little bit of damage.
It's one of the things that iRacing likes to model into the damage. It's you just lose a bit of speed, so you can make up your mind you want to continue with the race, and you kind of realise, oh, that was a really good lap. Hang on, it's 2 seconds slower than I thought it should be. Okay. It's modelling a subtle lack of power and subtle lack of speed. The rather big ones where your steering wheel isn't on the straight, you're pointing towards the sky, but a lot of it is just those minor things. So you shouldn't have done that, or the other person shouldn't have done it to you, and you move on. But it is it's something that you need to be assessed, and hopefully outside that custom car, someone's sitting there going, right, this is costing us X, it'll take us this long to fix. And unfortunately, the problem with this Nürburgring races, there's no fast fixes, it's all real-time fixes with a penalty. So it was losing you a second, or say it's losing you 5 seconds a lap, it's going to take 5 minutes to fix. That's 60 laps, John.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right, and those are the kind of calculations that somebody has to be doing. That's why you need a team manager for this as well. I do like the livery on that Panther car.
It's good. I mean, there are some great livery. It's interesting how there's a few people who've literally put the plain white boots from this car as you buy it and stick up. And most people have sat down and thought about getting some decent colourways, and if you've got a sponsor, Panther are getting as good coverage as any sponsor would get with their colour scheme in any full-size race.
Nick Damon and John Hindhaugh on the comms for the next 50 minutes or so, and then the pros come to do the job. Our colleagues at Racespot, who this weekend is hugely busy in terms of their production as well as their calling of races, and we wish them the best in all of their endeavours, working extremely hard this weekend, Will and the rest of the team. Certainly can see the headlights now.
Not quite sure why the 911 Porsche was flashing his lights whilst he was being overtaken. A bit odd.
Because you can't.
No one could see it, could they? So it's a relatively futile gesture. I'm sure he felt better about it. So that's the 911, which is currently the 2nd place man in the Porsche Cup class. Driven currently by Alexander Thiel. As we see the 2 and the 3, the 2nd and 3rd place overall cars, the Z4 of Philip Eng and the Marla Racing Team Audi R8 of Sonny Matti Trover. Interestingly, Sonny Trover has gained back what they've lost over the first of the 2 sets of rounds they're doing, and he's now right up behind Philip Eng on the Z4. Philip, who has been quite a star in the sim racing world since the lockdown happened, including even winning one of the virtual F1 races. I think it's corporate races, more of a crashathon, more dodging his cars, but Eng has made a name for himself.
It's a good battle.
It is. I mean, they're
just for 2nd.
Yep, 2nd overall.
Keep an eye on this. Just hearing some sad news coming through from the real world of motorsport. The Brazilian motorsport designer Ricardo de Vea has died. Born in Sao Paulo, started his career with Wilson and Emerson Fittipaldi, did some Formula V as well. Life Racing Engines, he was part of that, I think, as well, and of course worked on a number of sports car projects, including the innovative Delta Wing. A really nice bloke. Interviewed him a few times, been battling an illness recently, and he's lost that battle today. Our thoughts are with his family. Huge part in Nismo down through the years. Our thoughts with his family and his many friends in many motorsport paddocks around the world. Ricardo de Villa, who has died today. We think of him. This battle for second position continues. Ricardo would have loved this. He loved motorsport and loved competition. This is the battle for second position, and coming on for quarter distance. Still
very aggressive. So Matty, very aggressively. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to unnerve everything. Like, Eng is a real-world driver. He doesn't quite know anything about sim racing, but he is obviously skillful, and he's definitely trying to do that brilliant thing, which interesting. He's in Audi, and Audi was getting the mob of the RPTs and the turns. They were accused of, well, before they had the limit on the amount of flashing they could do, they were accused of bullying the other cars off the track, weren't they? Literally taking that Audi mantle and run with it.
Certainly doing a grand job at the moment, but is unable to make that position.
And the last 10 minutes, John, the lights now are very evident. You can actually see them; they're beginning to make a difference as the sun sets behind the circuit, and we look from the rear view, from the rear quarter through the very large and impressive wing of the BMW Z4. Not really car quarters used in competition anymore, but it was a stalwart to the early GT3, who had been particularly strong in the early prevented Dubai 24-hours recovery. Having heard great exponents of the car there. And one of the first times I was truly impressed by anything outside of F1 for efficiency was when they did the nighttime brake change. The first time I saw a live nighttime brake change. Oh, yeah. And they did it in all 4 brakes in about less than 2 minutes with dry brake. I thought that's absolutely unbelievable. Having seen it now, it's been refined even more, and I think Black Falcon could do it about 1.5 minutes. But the first time you see that in the pits, it's unbelievable. You think, well, it's 800 degrees, you can't do that. You can't. Oh, yeah, I've done. Okay, you've changed all your brakes in 3 minutes. Well done. It was an amazing performance. We limited numbers of engineers, but it was a great looking car, a quick car. But luckily, due to the way the balance performance has been tweaked, it's still competitive in the virtual world.
And obviously, as I said earlier, I don't think you were on them, but powered in race car form, both the GT 3 and the GTE version, or GT Le Mans version, which never got to race at Le Mans because of what I'm about to say. It never had a V8 engine in the real world, but it did as the race car. It had the P65.
It had the M3 engine, didn't it? The V8 M3.
It was the 92 M3 engine, yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason, marketing, it never got past the straight 6, did it, in the actual real world?
I think as a road car, there were some installation issues with it. There would have been some installation issues with it, in the same way as there had been some installation issues with one of the V8 engines that they tried to convince the ACO was going to fit in an M3 many years before. I remember standing with Gerhard Berger at I was going to say Portimao, and I know it wasn't Portimao. Joe Bradley was there with me, and we're looking at it, and it looked great. It had the carbon roof and all of that, and looked at the engine, and Bradley said, "And that's a road car." Gerhard said, "Yeah, that's the road car." He said, "It's not a road car." I said, "Why? How can you tell it's not a road car? It's got no engine fan." There wasn't room for engine fan, so it wasn't a road car. It was a complete mop-up. That was supposed to be the homologation car. But anyway, BMW made a great race car, but it sounded fantastic both in GT4, the Z4, in GT3 rather, and GTE forms. It did run in the European Le Mans series as a GTE.
Did it? I don't know.
Yeah. But I would go back though, maybe 14, 15.
That late? Okay. Yeah. It's very possible. I mean, there's been so many cars that passed under my nose in the last 13, 15 years. Yeah, you're probably
European
right.
Le Mans, it never ran at Le Mans. There was a gentleman's agreement that it would never run at Le Mans because it didn't have the engine of the road car. But it raced, I think maybe only as a privateer car in the European Le Mans as a GTE. As a GT3, it was a stalwart at this place, although they always seem to fall out in the early morning, funny enough. You were talking about some of the quality drivers. There was that year at the Nürburgring where it started raining in the middle of the night, and Z4s had been bossing it, and one of them nearly went outside the track on this part of the track, actually, when they came into contact with someone else on the Donegahur. This is the battle for second place, and there's nothing between these two at the moment. BMW V8 versus Audi V10, and the Audi pushing. Oh, yeah, fella!
He backed out of that one. He wasn't giving that one up, was he? And discretion, definitely part of valor there for St. Matthew. You could actually see the car, him thinking about it, and then going, nope, nah, we're not 6 hours in yet. Okay, that's the last lap job. That's not happening now. But he was right on the edge.
Matt has just tweeted in to say, I'm just turned on the stream for an hour before I get ready for the night shift. What's the time in the virtual N24? Time elapsed is, let's call it 5 hours and 20 minutes, and the time of day in Germany is 5 minutes after 9 Central European time. So starting to get dark now, Matt. And hello to Steph Neff, tuned in as well. Hashtag DN24RSL. This is soothing and amazing. I've missed racing. See, I keep telling you, forget about the platform, forget about whether it's 1-to-1 scale or RC. The competition is all that it's about. This is real racing. And quite a lot of people telling us that moving around at the moment and listening on RS1, then they have completely suspended their disbelief, and it is like listening to a real race, which is exactly how it should be. Because it's a real race. Exactly.
Different. I mean, you know, it is a real race. I mean,
it's exactly that.
If you get involved in it, if you actually drive these things, they are real races. And it's, you know, and I was listening to the point you made earlier. You know, you have this ability. You know, you can turn around, go to a track, do 400 laps, and it costs you your time and nothing else, which is amazing when you're trying to learn what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen very high quality. And what we are seeing, and this is what I think it's, yeah, this is the differentiation I would make. We are overwhelmed with sim races at the moment, and they are appealing to all tastes, but I do feel that the events put on the iRacing platform appeal more to us who are endurance fans. I just think it's more realistic because there's more risk and reward. If you prefer more action-packed bash and crash and touring car racing, 20-minute racing, which is fine, not a problem at all, then the R-Factor 2 platforms or the obviously the F1 races perhaps more float your boat. But it's something for everyone. But if you're actually looking for pure racing, this is as pure as it gets in a virtual world.
It's Nick Damon, I'm John Hindhaugh. It's good to have your company. You see there, Smoke and Puppy, thank you. Just tweeted in, Mark VDS Racing finished second in the 2015 LMGTE class with the Z4 GTE in the European Le Mans series. I knew it wasn't a works car. It was that brilliant purple and yellow colour scheme of Mark VDS.
Oh, I remember that now.
Yeah, you see if I'd said that.
I only saw the MS once a year. James I always saw it as a support Moses Silverson. So it was Johnny and yourself and Raymond Bruce who did this whole season. I just saw it once a year.
Now this is starting to get a bit tasty for second place. Up the road by a minute, let's call it, is the Team Red Line Ferrari, but it's Philip Eng and Sami Matti-Trogin, both real-world drivers. Sami Matti, probably better known at the moment for his sim experience, but he is a seasoned campaigner in his native Scandinavia and should have been driving by now a GT3 car around this very track in reality. Headlights starting to play a part now, 3.5 forced from the heli-car. Looks fantastic now, building up speed to get to the top of the hill at Callenhard. Through the little left, 2 lefts, then the uphill braking area into another left. It's all about breaking these bits of the track down so that you can remember them and it becomes muscle memory. Down into Callenhard now, dropping down, and no camera, virtual or simulated, do any kind of justice to the rises and falls and the camber changes on this track. You have to drive it for yourself to understand it. And in some ways, that's another thing, Nick, that I think is even more difficult in the virtual world. Seeing the crown of the road and the camber changes is actually easier in real life, and you feel it a lot more in real life. you sometimes only feel it in the virtual world when it bites you. It's like coming out the chase at Bathurst. As you come through the left-hander at the end of the chase before you turn right, you have to cross the crowd of the road, which means you have to hold on to the gear or you have to short shift, because if you don't, you do it right on the centre of the crowd of the road and it spits the car off. And that's really hard to find out on the sim until you've done it 27 times, of course.
Exactly, yeah. And of course the other thing is, however big your sim is, however brilliant your 3 screens are, they are still 2D. They are, it's close. It's 2-dimensional. You are losing that extra dimension. Some of the VR elements still tiny at simulation, but they have their own issues with actually often causing people quite sick actually when they do that. But
depends how long. I stayed on one for about an hour. I did a stint on VR in a cup car, Porsche Cup car around Bathurst, and I couldn't walk when I got off.
Yes.
Couldn't walk a straight line.
Someone said that the only way to do it is to build up, like do 20 minutes, then go away, come back.
Well, I think I said this earlier on. Brabs always used to say that to me about motion simulators, but in particular when they were using, I think they were using the Word simulator when he was driving for Acura, and he had to build up to it because it wasn't quite working for him. And there's always that little bit of lag. And the thing is that for somebody like me who isn't very good at anything, I don't notice it as much as a racing driver whose inner ear is absolutely attuned to the movement of cars.
Yeah, and the pressure changes you will get as you go up and down and turn left and right. I mean, it is a completely different experience. The point you made, I just listened towards it. It is, of course, the most transferable skill of an e-sport, of course.
Yes, it is.
So you can actually bring these people, and they have 80%. A great racing driver will have 80%, or perhaps even more, of what he needs to be a great sim racer. But of course, that last 10% is the really difficult stuff.
But in anything, the last 5–10%.
That's when you need the 10,000 hours, isn't it? To get good at anything. The second, third battle just separating down a bit. Fluang, I think, has just got a little bit more velocity over it. He may lose it. He actually has lost, as I said it curiously, he lost everything he gained getting stuck behind the TCR car. But the 63, I think it's just trying to read the numbers very quickly. Yeah, it was the Craig Shop friend with Joseph Falgren playing the 63. It wasn't a deliberate hold up, it was one of those things. And now Eng will try and put some space between himself and the Audi.
Do you know what I'm going to miss at the end of our shift in round about 35 minutes? I'm going to miss not getting into the car. I'm going to miss getting into the car, rather, and driving down the back roads and getting back to the hotel and having schnitzel. Because you've got to have schnitzel. Schnitzel around the island is outstanding.
And beer, John.
Well, no, not beer for me. Wine for me.
No, of course, yes, you've got this pub. For me, I'll have a virtual beer with my virtual schnitzel. You have a virtual wine in yours. Then you have a wine with cheese. You're doing fine. I won't have a tea. It went cold ages ago.
Forgotten, I hope. Very Nürburgring, but with
absolutely.
Peter Kidd. Here's the Audi having another go for second place. Gets the drag up towards the Bilstein Bridge, but has to go the long way around. That's perfect driving by Philip Eng. Sammy Matty Torgan just can't get there and get enough pressure on. So now he's got a plan and scheme all over again. Down towards the first corner is the next opportunity. So let's see which side of the track he goes. Does he throw the dummy down the inside now? Oh, the door's been left open by Eng there. The Audi may be getting close enough. Maybe not quite.
Yeah, it would be a long way. He didn't crest the hill as well as you'd expect.
Not at all. Agreed.
So he then didn't get the ability to get up the inside. Though you rightly said, Eng wasn't worried because he left the door wide open for lunge. Obviously, assuming he just was too far back to even go for it. So he's now sprint out onto the Grand Prix circuit.
And again, this is all dropping downhill, Nick, and you know,
very steep.
Very steeply downhill, this part of the circuit. So that's good stuff. Down towards the hairpin at the bottom, the hilly brick, ridiculously late for that because there is a little bit of banking in that. So as we come towards the end of our time in around about 15 minutes time. Keep an eye on this as they head out onto the Nürburgring Nordschleife. What's your thoughts then of the first quarter of this race, Nick David?
I think it's been a cracking multi-class battle. I mean, I think we have got a runaway leader at the moment with Team Redline Black and Max Beneke. But we have a tight battle for second and third. There's no real gap. Moving on from there, there's a few, they've all spaced out, but no one's out of touch, and no one, more importantly, has the luxury of making any form of mistake which would require any sort of pit stop without losing many positions. And that applies to the first all four classes, that we've got this team battle going on. It's very interesting watching the changing time of day and the changing weather as it's been simulated on the Nürburgring. Of course, this is my first Nürburgring 24h John. You've done many of them, but this is my first one, so I'm enjoying watching the whole experience.
You might be talking yourself into a trip there if we ever get any real-life racing off this year. Then that's talking about being obviously in September, the week after Le Mans. We did the back-to-back races last year as well and had a bit of a road trip between them. And there is something very special about the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Obviously, my heart's at Le Mans. That's where we got our start and where the business of Radio Show Limited was started as well. And indeed, even where I got married at Le Mans on the Friday before the 24-hour race on the day off. But there is something about the Nürburgring Nordschleife that is very special, particularly the high speeds and the high commitment required, and that's what we're seeing now. There was almost a touch there, Nick. That was too close to call for me as they head down into the foxhole again, and I feel a bit of frustration now from Sami Matti. I just wonder, there goes the flashing lights. There's one of the Porsches. Oh, he's just lifted off and stayed out of it. Very smart. Stop! Get out! Get the picnic blanket out. You don't want to be anywhere near these two. They're bad.
Exactly. But I mean, it's interesting. I think you're absolutely right. I think Sami now is really trying to push the moment, but I think he feels he is quicker through the entire part of the track rather than the bit that he needs to be faster on, which is the main straight.
Yeah.
So it looks like this F4 is a particularly slippery machine. It's got that bit of speed. Sami now holding him back slightly, trying to avoid anything coming at the back of him. But it's a really interesting two-car battle. With different chassis giving different advantages, and holding the other thing remember, it's always easy to follow, especially in a track like this, which is downhill, up there, and left and right. You just get that extra confidence, see what the previous car has done, even when you know the track like the back of your hand.
It does sound to me as though the Audi is Is that the Audi grounding out, or is that just the overrun? Let's have a closer listen to that.
Yes, I think it's touching slightly.
Yeah,
very slightly. It's not.
You've got to be so careful on the Nürburgring. It isn't a normal racetrack. It's more like a normal racetrack than it ever has been since it's been resurfaced and some of the undulations have been taken out. Past the high running 75, that's the Sim RC TCR. They were running high up in class early on.
They're the leaders, John. They're the leaders.
There you go. Well, they're kept well out of the way. So climbing now from the bottom of the hill at Bergwerk. And this is just all about keeping your momentum up. And the Audi's quick here as well. And looks to the outside, down a gear into that tricky left-handed. Really got to stay off the curves here, Nick. You can't use the curves. It unsettles the car so much, because you're going so quickly at this spot. Super late braking here, basically at the apex of the previous corner. And then as you're climbing the hill to the carousel, always remember Marshall's post at the end of the advertising hoarding there. Chris Porrett, who was then the Aston Martin driving dynamics expert and also a very keen and experienced racing driver, went off to Tesla and still in the States working on all kinds of projects. And I remember everything he told me on those first 2 laps of the Nürburgring, because you just can't afford to forget it. you build your experience through. Do you know what? This looks even more lifelike now than it did in the sunshine. This is extraordinary stuff on board with Sammy Matty Drogan. If you're watching down into Brunshan now, double apex left, and just wait, be patient on the throttle, use the block paving, keep it in third, and then hammer up the hill, try and take as much as you can in terms of pace through this tricky left-hander. Over the top of the brow, stay at the left-hand side of the road, wait for the jump, then after the jump, down from fifth to third, or fourth, because these guys are better than me. And now you're building up the flange guard. This is great. You know you're getting towards the end of the lap, and you know that there's nothing ahead of you. You're just building the speed. Fifth gear right on the limiter, then into sixth. Again, you can use the outside of the road, never down the inside of the bridge. Surely he had a little look, did Sammy there. Now to the Swallow's Tail. Late apex for that. So many late apexes, so many places where you can't see your clipping point. You can pop out of the Kleiner carousel a little bit earlier than you think. More flashing. Here's the most important corner for the Audi driver now. He's coming on to the triple apex right-hander. The Gallows Hill onto the main straight, the Dottinger Hohe. The BMW punches off those corners better, Nick, doesn't it? It really does.
But it's got a 30-kilogram advantage, isn't it? This is the point. That's where that weight is going to be. But Sammy's got a great run here, and he's going to make it, I think. He's actually just got a better drive out, but there is a
as soon as he pulls out, and hits that air, it's like pulling the handbrake on.
Oh, there's some intimidation as they go down the back straight, but they are neck and neck, and it's going to be end because Eddie's got the inner line.
Well, how brave is Sammy Matty into the next right-hander? He was very brave indeed. Oof, yeah, fella, that was close. Side drafting, it's a common misconception that side drafting, pulling alongside somebody, actually speeds you up. It doesn't, but it can slow them down. So, particularly in open wheel racing, I remember Paul Tracy, when he first started driving for Penske, was the past master of it. And he would interlock wheels, on the open wheel cars, he would drop his front wheel in between the front and the back wheels of the car he was trying to pass, and then gradually move by and drop his back wheel in to keep slowing them down. It's an extraordinary thing to see. You've got to have so much trust on the guy that you're racing. This is brilliant stuff, Nick. I mean, the concentration levels here, real world or sim racing, the concentration levels just outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, this is without doubt, Grade 1 Premier Class racing, whatever it could be. There were tiny margins, and as we've explained before, they were running together within, well, a virtual, probably in scale virtuosity, about 6 inches. And it seems to me that you've got to remember, because of the way they actually see the picture through the delay of the internet, they are actually guessing some of this, and they are trusting each other. And Sammy Matty effectively got the point where he really got there, and at the end, he just tried to pressurise for the bank, and Philip didn't know. And then Sammy had to back out. But he's now, again, looking for this chance to try and drag past. But the disadvantage he has with the Audi is the Audi has 2 disadvantages. It's very, very good in the corners, but it's carrying 20 kilograms more than the base weight of the Z4. So the Z4 has more punch, and if you can really look at the car, the Z4 has a very, very much smaller frontal area, being kind of an older car being based on an old machine in the R8. The R8's got much more of a CDA, not a CD, a CDA, which is the frontal area. So those are the 2 things, but it's so quick in the corners, Audi.
Leader will be coming in at the end of this lap. The team red line black car, and that's the end of a double stint again for Max. These 2 will go one further, so this will become the battle for the lead for at least 1 lap anyway, and that might just add a bit more spice.
Might do. They're 1:08 behind, so it's going to be close, but I think they'll have a few seconds ahead of whoever takes over the red line black car.
Well, so far it's been Jonas Wallmeyer who's done the other driving. We are told there's a 3rd driver for that. We haven't seen a name for it quite yet, as we're coming up to just over 20 minutes of our stint to go. And here comes Sammy Matty, goes to the right, goes to the left. He's got a good run. great dummy down the inside, now goes to the outside, but this is the long way around on the top of the hill before Arnberg. Surely he can't get this done. He can! Oh, side by side into the top of the foxhole, and Sammy Matty would not be denied. Now the flash of the lights from Philip Eng. He said, he can't do that. He can't do that in real life.
Is that a down or a well done?
I think a bit of both, perhaps. I think there's got to be some grudging respect there. It was the dummy down the left-hand side of the track as they went up to Schweidenkreuz, and then round the outside. And the Audi, well, the Audi must have some downforce, Nick, because he's stuck in it on that crazily quick left-hander. And then, of course, he had the inside for Arnberg, which is the top of the foxhole, and that's where he made it stick. Now, the question will be, can he get it done and pull away? So that is the virtual lead. Pulled out, went to the inside, went to the outside. How close was that? Answer, you could not have got the Eiffel phone book between those two at that point.
The thing is, though, he's going to have to put a little bit of a gap because Enger's got a much better car. He has done it already because Enger's got a much better car on the main straight. He'll leap out and he has got a frontal area issue. But already St. Matthew has pulled a big enough gap not to be worried about the main straight.
If you're a motorsport, if you've got friends who are motorsport fans and they're not watching, it's Saturday night, there's nothing on the television, there's no new movies on the movie channels, and they are motorsport fans and they aren't watching this, they haven't got a motorsport, a heart that beats for motorsport, because this is outstanding stuff. Get on Twitter, get on text, get on the phone and do yourself and them a favour and get them watching this, because we've got another 18 and a half hours of this, and it's only going to get even more bonkers because the onboards in the full dark are quite extraordinary. Coming up in what, 20 minutes or so, we'll have Dylan Coyle and Connery Maddock with Lorenzo Bonda and Chan Hai Wan taking you through the nighttime hours. They're the experts from Race Spot, who'll be making sure you don't miss any of the action. Sound and vision on the video. We'll be back for the last 6 hours of the race with Nick, me and Bruce as well. And you'll be able to get us on RS1 as well for the end of the race if you have to move around on Sunday. And we understand that even in lockdown, sometimes you have to be outside the house and you might not have the bandwidth on your phone, but we've got the audio for the end of the race for you as well. Still the number 2 lit on the top right hand corner of Philip Eng's car. That's where he was when he crossed the line, but now he's in position 3, which will become position 2 again when he crosses the line, so that won't change because we're waiting for Max to come into the pit lane from the lead. That's another 7-lap stint for the car that has led pretty much from the start. Has the fastest lap time as well with an 8:03.030. And that is it.
Sorry, he's got back to his pole lap was 7:59, so he's within 4 seconds of the fastest until he's throwing caution to the wind. And
that was on a clear track as well, of course, a totally clear track, because everybody did single car qualifying, and that may well have been on a second lap where he got some, because everybody got 2 laps to qualify for this, so he might have had some heat in tyres. Well, if we're short of action, default TCR.
They're for the Nars and whatever, they're also, there's a cold trailer TCR, so the 3rd and 4th TCR cars, which is the 26 Evolution Racing.
That's Arjan Vrede behind the wheel of that. Then Robin Harter.
He looks like he's been trying to go around the outside, and he looks like he's going to do it, which is the Team RSO 597 with the Robin Harter in the car. Yeah, so he probably has just done that. And there's a change of position, 3rd place in TCR.
And chasing them down behind that is Steve Ledger in the Full Set Racing 85 car, just stealthily making its way through the field. Full Set, they are a top team and they've got some great drivers in there. Steve normally starts the 3-hour races, then Nico Poggi back behind the wheel of the XVR Sim Racing car. Nicole's been doing double stints in there, which is, what did you say, just shy of 3 hours?
Yeah, and I've now thought actually it's just over 3 hours because with the second, so yes, it's just over 3 hours.
Wow. That's commitment and concentration levels par excellence.
leader in the pits, John, as we expected.
Good. I like when a plan comes together. 7 lap stints. So end of lap 41, and it will be our new driver is Christopher Dambietz for that car. So there we are. We have a new name for you.
Probably out doing something else. Now he's got home. He's going to do 2 hours in the dark at Nürburgring, as you do.
Do you know what? I do think it's a bit late. Well, it's dark. Maybe it's dark enough so that you can do it.
Obviously getting tyres. The car from the track, John.
Yeah, well, you'd do that, wouldn't you? Because it's a new driver, and it's his first races, first laps in the race. There go
1 and 2.
Now first and second. Although, of course, it'll still say 1 because he crossed the line. The Ferrari crossed the line because of where their pits are. But that is the battle for the lead.
127.8 was his. I think it's just wait for the update again. No, it's 127.8 was the full service.
I know where Dambietz has been.
Tyre, no, 132.4 driver, tyres, and fuel. So 1 minute 32 because everyone will be doing this next time round. So let's see how that compares. Yes, John, where's he been? What's he been doing?
He's been doing the eSports Super Cup, which has been running today as well. So the advantage is there's no travelling involved. So he was able to jump straight out of the eSports Super Cup, the Porsche Super Cup event, and come here. He's a Team Redline driver, so absolutely spot on for that. And therefore he jumps into this, presumably having had a bit of practice, and he would know, Nick, because he'll have talked about this. Again, those people who aren't sim racing regulars, they haven't just rocked up here for a bit of fun on a Saturday afternoon and evening. They'll have been practicing all week, and he'll have practiced at the time that he knew he was going to get in the car.
Don't forget, he could have practiced for the last half hour as well, the last hour.
That's a good point.
Because you can set this, he could run his own private session, he could just do a few laps to get his eye in, he could have whatever level of light he wants to have, so he could, well, I don't know when he finished his Porsche Super Cup duty, but if he had that hour and a half, he knew he was getting in the car, he could have done 3 or 4 practice laps, and I'm pretty sure if he had the time, he would have done. He's not coming this completely cold, though this car has done, 41 laps. It will be carrying, little bits and bobs of any kind, not a lot, but because it's been run clean, and he has to get used to the specifics of this car, which will be virtually the same that he had before in the virtual world, but now he has to kind of get his head down and capitalise on that, very good lead that Maxi handed him, and try and extend it even more in this darkening period.
And we'll see, won't we, when the 2 that lead at the moment go through. I love the fact that the driver has now changed on the sim from a dark to a clear visor. So obviously, because it's dark, so we can see the driver's eyes now. It's really good. Coming up to the Flugplatz for the first time out of the pit, and just feathering the throttle back there, and maybe just a slight dab on the brakes to keep the car on the ground. The onboard shots showing the lighting on the inside of the car as it would on a race car, lots of coloured buttons, etc. You've got to be so careful when you design the interior of a GT or a prototype that's going to race in the dark. Really good lights on the Ferrari, so that's something I was right about, and you can see the 6 different lights if you look very, very carefully on that. That is way better than the TCR that I was watching early on. You've got to be careful on the interior design because you don't want it to be too light, because it's alright, there's still a bit of light in the sky right now, but when it's dark you don't want it to take your night vision away. And Porsche in particular worked very hard on the 919 hybrid and the new what's called the 19 RSR GTE has the same steering wheel as the prototype did, pretty much, button for button and function for function. And they were very careful to turn everything down in terms of light, and they used an old trick that some of us who used to go to discotheques, mate, all about black light. So purple light, which only shows up, and then you paint or put stickers on that shows up the black light, so you can turn down the illumination on the interior of the car so that it doesn't ruin your night vision, and yet you can still see the buttons that you need to push and turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's sounds like a minor thing, but it's unsurprising for Porsche that the thought is actually incredibly important. Not having the glare of your car internally.
Correct.
Taking away the point that you have to see the key things that you want you to reach and touch. Now, I'm really impressed actually by this run by Christopher down there, because how the car moved in the first couple of sections when the tyres are cold, and now he's got the temperature, he's really already on it. And it's just going to show that when you have an iRacing 7000,
one gear lower through some of the tougher corners, like third there. That's really a third gear corner, but he's not taking any chances, and why would you? See the marker LEDs on the sides of the cars as well, over the ear pillar and over the top of the doors. That's going to help us. So let's remember that the team red line has a red line on it.
And the other two red line cars are taking part.
Exactly.
No, that had a black line.
Team Marlon Racing Team has pulled out nearly 3 seconds now on Philippe. Yates has held on to third position. Spengler in fourth. So it's Audi, BMW, Ferrari, BMW and Mercedes. Miguel Sondergaard now behind the wheel of the MB Esport Racing in 8th position. Josh Thompson in 9th. And Jimmy Ball with One Performance Racing has just pitted the Z4 from 10th position overall. It's the best of the Mercs in the low rumble. So evocative. It barely sounds like it's ticking over. I remember back at the end of the 1980s when Mercedes came back to Le Mans with the Saubers, the Silver Arrows, with only one sponsor on the wing end, and that was AEG. The reason that they were there is because they were bouncing the telemetry off the AEG satellite and then back to racing and stroke back in Germany. I think not. They repositioned the satellites to get their telemetry. So it's the early days of live telemetry, and you couldn't get it all the way around the track, and there wasn't cell phones back in 1989. And I always just remember that sternum shaking rumble of the V8s that Mercedes used then, and they never sounded stressed. And contrast that with something like, say, the Mazda 787, the multi-rotor, which sounded like they were about to blow up when they were ticking over.
Just screaming, no, stop it! But yeah, they were amazing. They had that car go around a couple of laps a few years ago, didn't we, the Le Mans. Now the Mercedes, obviously, this one Mercedes is not currently right at the sharp end of the field. The actual Mercedes model is known for being incredibly easy compared to the others. Very easy to drive, but perhaps lacking in outright pace. I think if you went down some of the lowest choosing the Mercedes, because it's just an easier car for the more human rather than the alien drivers to keep on the track. So, you know, it's one of the great things about iRacing is the cars are modern, fine cars to drive. Yes, half a second off the pace, but so much easier to drive over a long period.
Do you know what the easiest GT3 car in real life is to drive?
Okay.
It's the most comfortable for gentlemen drivers. Don't mind us using that term, non-pro drivers, let's say, but to get comfortable and confident in. And the new version of the car that made it even more so, apparently. Although I have to say I've been very lucky. I drove the old GT4 Aston Martin, and I drove the GT3 once as well, but only once. I never raced it. The GT3 Vantage, I thought, was a supremely confidence-inspiring car. To the point where even on old tyres I got really quick, really fast in terms of the lap times. Alright, here's the battle for the lead coming into the pits as we expected it to do, and so the Marla car will come in and give up the lead. Sammy Matten-Trogen is finishing a double, so he should be getting out.
As is Philippe and Spencer's coming as well.
So Don Stein gets in the Marla car, so again they're travelling through their drivers who we've seen driving for Williams Esport in the past, and that is effectively a Williams Esport crew car, driver crew in that car. Spengler's in, Melchers is in as well, so the top 5 are in. Dambietz has already gone through on the flying lap that he's completed. Remember, there was the reason that red line car is stopping a lap early was that we did 7.6, 7.7, 7.7, whereas everyone else pretty much in the top 10 have done 7, 7, 7, 7, 7 through the lap counts.
And I'm absolutely certain that it was just to get them off camber with everyone else. And if it was a much closer race, they could have a free run in and out of the pit lane. But of course, they've dominated, so it's not been an issue. Dominic Stein, which he says, got into the Marla Racing Team Audi. Lauren Heinrich was placed at the end in the BS89. Kai Schubert replaced Will Spender in the BS7. And Mike Nürburgring has got, that's a great name, Nürburgring has got in for Biela Racing Team with their Ferrari 488. So it is a complete, full series of driver change.
Yeah, I've just seen where Jesse Kron, has he just got into that? Yes, he has. Jesse Kron's just taken over Matti Piatella in his car as well. That's 7th position for the 108 VRS Coanda car. Not been without incident either, of course. We've lost the second team red line Ferrari. That car's been out for a while. But for the moment, we've got Ferraris first and second because Alejandro Sanchez got out ahead of the Audi in second. So it's the 75 from the 186 from the 89. So another very quick pit stop from the MSI.
He didn't take tyres. He's got a 117 stop to the 133. 133 and 133 following cars, so he's not taking tyres. Now, is this Alejandro's second stint?
Well, I'm just checking that now. No, Alejandro. Well, hang on. I just need to refresh that. I think this might be Alejandro's third stint in that car.
On the same line, same team.
He did 2. Then Mark Perez did 2. Then he did a 7. And then my software needs to restart itself. But yeah, if Alejandro's back in, then
because he did 2, he's partly 2. We've won 42, which is 6 runs so far. This is the start of the 7th run, so yes, it makes sense he's now his 3rd one.
Well, unless Alejandro only did a single and Mark's just done a single as well, and I have to say I didn't notice that. You would have thought if they'd put a new driver in, they would have put new tyres on it as well. For some reason I have a gap. Very annoying that with my Tetris. Right, we've got about 5 minutes before we hand over to Dylan, Connery, Lorenzo and Chan. So not sure which of those are going to take directly over from us or whether they're all going to jump in together. It is Christopher Dambier who leads by 67 seconds. The Ferrari 488 GT3 from Team Red Line Black leads from the nice chrome blue MSI Esports Ferrari. Alejandro Sanchez behind the wheel of that, we think. As I say, at about 67 seconds. He's half a second ahead of the best of the Audis. The Marla Racing Team, Dominic Stein's just got into that car. They're on their outlap at the moment. New tyres for Stein, who want to get rid of that Ferrari to get the performance advantage from the Audi. Then another 5.5 seconds further back. It's the first of the BS competition BMW twins. It's the 089 Lauren Heinrich car. And then 30 seconds further back, Kai Schubert's got into the 7 car, taking that over from Bruno Spengler. That's the top 5. Top 6, Mike Nürburgring in the Biela Racing Team is another 10 seconds further back, if you prefer, 44 seconds away from the leader. Then another minute further back, Jesse Kron in the 108, Z4 VRS Coanda. Then it's the Williams Esports Audi, another 13 seconds back. Now we're starting to get 3 minutes away from the leader. Bas Visser in the fastest Mercedes, the number 9 for MB Esport Racing. He's got about another 3 minutes on the One Performance Racing. Jimmy Ball back behind the wheel of the Z4, and that's your top 10. And that is the top 10 SP9 GT3s, all running on the lead lap still after nearly 6 hours. Then it's the Porsches. R8 Esports leads by 11.5 seconds from Porsche 24 from Gingold Racing. Then Team Redline, Anachan Guven behind the wheel of that and gaining on the cars ahead. He's got that gap down to 10.5 seconds. Alpine Eagle is next up, and then Trans-Tasman, the next car back to make up the top 6 in the 911 class. I'm rattling through these quickly before we do the handover. Sam Liebert leads for Core Sim Racing in the 17 class, 23rd overall, with a 2-minute gap unchanged to Team Huizinfeld, with Max Wiedmüller behind the wheel of the 301 car. Then Filippo Orlandi for DRS Wave Italy is a 17 seconds further back, and he's got a real scrap on his hand with the ASD Elite Yellow, Sasha Engelhardt in the number 346. Team RSO is next, and then Sim RC, 29th overall, lead Audi RS3 TCR class by 44 seconds from Craig Setup Shop, Joseph Perlgren. Then Nicole Foggy, who seems to have driven just about every other lap of the race, it seems, to XVR Sim Racing, is 15 seconds further back, and just a second from Steve Lesgate, who's doing a really good stint for Full Sail Racing and pulling that car back into contention. The top 6 in TCR, Robin Haase, the Team RSO, is right behind Steve, and then Alex Simonich behind the wheel of the Vendervald Sim Racing Blue. That's how they stand as we have just on 5 minutes to go to the first quarter of the race completed. Nick Damon and John Houndorf winding up the first RSL segment of this race and getting ready to hand over. Just starting to lose the light in the sky here as well, Nick. I do really feel immersed in this because what I'm watching on the screen is very similar to what I'm seeing outside at Houndorf Towers.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just about pitch dark outside my window as well. Pitch dark in the now going around the Nürburgring, and what a great way of these 6 hours watching a fantastic endurance race settling down, I think, for a heavy night of action.
Well, settling down in terms of people knowing what they've got to do, but the pace hasn't let off at all. And we might even see, with air temperature and track temperature coming down a bit, maybe the engines will work a bit better. You'll certainly get double stint out of the engines, out of the tyres rather, and we might actually see some quicker laps here. There are drivers who tell me in the real world they prefer in the dark because there are fewer distractions at the side of the track.
Absolutely. I mean, we still have about 7 or 8 hours to come happy hour as it gets light, which is always known as the time to really put some times down. As it's the air, as it's heavy, as you get a little bit extra vision as the sun begins to come up, but you have a track and a car.
Hang on a second.
Perfect harmony.
We did have a moment for the 76 car a couple of minutes ago. They were running slowly or stopped, although has reviewed. That was Diego Pinto, and that was the leader in class. Now he's held on to the lead, but there was clearly a moment. Just looking at on the incident report. Also, by the way, the number 23 GT3, Miguel Sandergaard, had slowed as well, although he got back to the pit lane. So coming into the 6 hour mark, that's it for Nick and I, and we'll hand over to Dylan Coyle, Connery Maddock and Lorenzo Bonda with Chan Hayway.
Thank you very much there, John. And well, for those guys and girls that are still watching the stream, we will actually be moving over to a different link here on the YouTube side of things. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on Facebook, then you do not have to do anything. But if you're watching on YouTube, then I will be posting a link in the chat where you can go over and enjoy the continuing coverage of the Nürburgring 24-hour event. But that's the end of the Radio Le Mans portion, and that is now the Race Block Show. Just in a couple of moments' time, we'll see you in a few minutes. everyone then, welcome back to the 24 hours of the Nürburgring powered by VCO here on Race Sport TV. Thank you very much to the guys at Radio Show Limited for bringing us through the first quarter of the race. Well, for the second and third quarter, it'll be us here at Race Sport TV to bring you through the nighttime coverage. I'm Connery Maddock. I'll be around for a couple of hours before I have to head to bed as well. I'm joined by Dylan Coyle and Lorenzo Bonda for this portion of the broadcast. And, well, we are solidly inside the nighttime hours now, Dylan. So the ending topic there with the Radio Le Mans guys saying that, you know, how drivers react to racing in these sorts of conditions. Well, they're going to have to be dealing with it for another round about 11 to 12 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of the drivers here react to the dropping temperatures, and it's an ever-evolving track surface too, so that line between getting slippery and having all the grip you need will get even stronger. You know, this is really where the race begins. This is where the true drivers will separate themselves from the rest of the pack. And when they are able to get a good run going on someone, and you show up some traffic as well, this is really where the dangerous areas come to play.
Yeah, and maybe not immediately right now, but this is where the fatigue will start to set in. Of course, it's a different kind of fatigue in a lot of instances compared to the real world racing side of things, but it's fatigue all the same, maybe primarily mental fatigue with racing out there, with how many of these stints that some of these drivers doing triple stints, doing quad stints in some instances here, Lorenzo. It does take a toll on the body, maybe not so much the actual body like it does in the real world, but remember, some of these guys have what we call direct drive wheels, which are very, very heavy on the steering, so they'll definitely be feeling it. But and as a result, we might even see a couple of mistakes start to set in through these nighttime hours.
Yeah, because vision is limited, you said the direct drive will affect a lot on the individual's body. It's quite a workout. I use the G27, but it's nothing compared to a direct drive or even what would be a Fanatec belt-driven tool. So they're gonna get some workout. They're gonna get a lot more, and I mean a whole lot more exhaustion on their body. A little bit. They're gonna have to manage throughout the hours. Maybe we're gonna be seeing single stints from drivers and all more constant driver swaps. But nighttime, like Dylan said, is a whole other race. If you know to a Nürburgring, the night is a whole different matter. Limited vision, traffic is going to become much more complicated. We're going to see a lot of mistakes.
Look at this close affair between MSI Esports Blue and Mahler Racing Team. Mahler, of course, a big feature through the latter portions of that previous segment with the Radio Show Limited, as they were able to pull off the pass over BS competition to get into second place. But right now they have MSI Esports ahead of them, and that's because MSI Esports have not come down on towards the pit lane just yet for this sequence of stops in GTE. So they're kind of out of position at the moment, and Mahler Racing Team's not going to be too happy about it, considering that they are the faster car in clear air, and if they have this car just sort of parked on their nose for a lap, maybe that'll be a detriment. Then again, Dylan, you can use it as a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, you can use it as a little bit of fuel saving, and when you have so many stints throughout a 24-hour race, the amount of fuel you save, it could turn out to be the difference between a podium spot or even first place. Obviously, Team Red Line Black.